what we do here is go back.
You never know, it might actually work. First time for everything. Oh, I know I haven't done. I haven't turned off the thing on the camera. I knew there was one thing I haven't done. Is the audio okay? That'll be the first question. I better change the camera. Bear with me. HDMI record, HDMI display off. There we go. That should be better. Good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, the something of April, 15th of April, 2023, and it is approximately 8:15, just gone. Hopefully it is working okay. Telemetry is on, yeah, got rid of that, hopefully. Terminator cam. Audio is good, excellent. Ugly Bob says no, we can still hear you. Thank you very much.
He's on form, doesn't he?
He is on form. The square target, so that what you could see on the camera is basically what you would normally see if you're looking at the camera actually on like through the eyepiece or the flip out screen. So it gives you an idea of where the focal points are and if the camera is actually level. I didn't even check if it's level, actually. I don't really care, to be honest. Hopefully it's working okay. So that one is working. Let's see if the overhead is also working. There we go. Hello. Actually got some things sent to us this week, which we'll be checking out. This is a gift from Patrick LaBelle, I believe it was. Some 3D printed gizmos. So we'll be checking those out a little bit later. Desktop screen, that's going to be working. I'm not even going to bother testing that. I think we're good. I think we're actually good. Anyway, let's go back to the main camera. So hopefully you're all having a good Saturday. Been a busy one for us today. Been out in the garden, chopping up some wood for the wood burner, and out in the sunshine, getting some vitamin, whatever D it is, I guess. And some exercise. My arms are killing. Sawing wood with a wood saw through old sleepers and stuff like that and rust is, yeah, it's hard work. I'm actually knackered, genuinely knackered. And to finish off, came in, had some tea, basically just ate a load of sausages, which were reduced from the co-op. So now I feel like I actually just need to sleep. I'm getting that thing where, you know, you had way too much meat and you're like, oh. Protein coma, I think they call it. Thank you very much, Mick Woods, for the super chat. £10 there. It says, hi, everybody. Let's click on that. Is this working tonight? That appears to be working. Excellent stuff. Good. And, oh, don't sit down, Kath. Bob's at it as well. Bob's in with a super chat as well, saying congrats on 88.2k subs. Thank you very much, Bob. Bob's been around for a long time as well. I'm not sure how many subs we had when Bob first appeared on the scene, but some of you I can see in the chat, you've been with us from actually pretty early doors. So we do appreciate all of you stopping by on a Saturday evening. For those of you that are new here and don't know what's going on, you're in good company because I don't half of the time. But this is the Mike's Unboxing live stream for a Saturday, and generally it is basically me ranting on about stuff. Also showing some of the things which we've got coming up in the pipeline for reviews. Also showing off some of the things that we've been sent from some of you guys out there, the lovely viewers. And yeah, basically trying to put the world to rights, probably going off on extreme tangents here, there and everywhere. So if you've got any comments, questions, or just want to be involved, feel free. If you're a subscriber, you have to be a subscriber. You can use the live chat, which comes up on my screen there, and I can answer your questions, etc. should you have any. And if you just want to be part of a very cool community with some very cool people. Well, majority of anyway. I'm not going to say any names. There are some which are just not cool. Anyway, I have the document that says meat sweats. Yes, I'll be having those later. I think I'm actually turning into Indian Mike again. I'm starting to gain some colour, which is always a good thing. It's been way too long winter. Rant number one. Is it me, or has it been the longest winter in the UK this year? It's been like it since probably, what, September? Been pretty rubbish. All the way through Christmas.
It was quite late in the year it turned rubbish, but it seems so long.
It seems like we've had like 6 months of winter. It's been absolutely horrendous.
And just rain after rain after rain.
Oh my god, yeah, it's been so much rain, it's been ridiculous. And if
like
the government turn around and say that in the summer, sorry, there's a water shortage, I'm going to be pissed. Like, what are they doing? Make some reservoirs, for God's sake.
They haven't made any since, is it 1991?
Yeah, they've not made any reservoirs. So government, make some bloody reservoirs and store some water.
Just taking the profit.
God damn it.
Put anything back in.
Ah, dear. So, first quarter of an hour, we're just going to do some hellos and thank yous and all that kind of stuff and go through saying hello to some of you in the chat. Around about 8:30, we'll get onto the main topic, which is going to be these fans, which are the most bizarre thing I've seen in a long time. This is a brand called Iwongo, which I'm guessing there's a play on words. I know how a lot of these Chinese companies work, and they just kind of throw a load of letters onto a screen and hopefully that's okay, and then they go bust or bankrupt, or Amazon clamps down on them, or AliExpress clamps down on them for being bad, and then they just come up with another company with another random name, which is very common. But Iwongo, it just adds, there's so many things. I actually think they should miss out the word home on the end, as in I want to go you home, as in I want to go to your house. I think that makes sense. To me it does anyway. But it has been a long day and I've just eaten a load of sausages, so whatever. Anyway, there you go.
What you think doesn't matter.
Ugly Bob says, laugh my ass off. How do you say that again, Mike? I want to go you home. There may have been a very slight Chinese twang to that as well, which was not intentional. It was just the way the words came out of my mouth and my brain. So I do apologise for that. Right, let's say hello and thank you to some of you who have been in the chat already. And we've got Lucky Man, MSI approved. So he's been a member for 11 months now. There's a supporter of our channel, directly supporting what we do here at Mike's Unboxing, including buying very low sell-by date sausages from Co-op, which may make me very ill later, but we'll see. There's another super chat come in now. That is from Mick Woods, was that? No, hang on.
No, that's Mick Woods from a bit earlier, isn't it?
I'm going to have to scroll down. Actually, if I click on viewer activity, I think I can find out. Yes, there we go. Viewer activity. I can do it from there. I've learnt a thing, ladies and gents. Who knew?
I think Lucky Man's was a sticker. No, it couldn't have been a sticker.
Let's fast forward. So, yeah, Lucky Man, £2 with a MSI approved message. The year is getting faster and shorter. Yes, like my attention span.
Christmas was last week.
I can't believe it's May soon. That is ridiculous. What's it all about? I really don't know. Let me see if this works actually. If I click on that, does that do anything? No, they don't. That's not useful. Okay, so there was, we've got O'Reilly as well, who has also been a member now for 15 months. Thank you very much, O'Reilly. And there is his super chat sticker, which you get free actually if you are a member. You get those from YouTube. Bless you all. Let's quickly go to the super chats. Bob's with a disco for £2. Wouldn't be a Saturday night stream without a disco. Mick Woods, £10. Hi everybody. Thank you very much, Mick. Is that a picture of Mick in his profile picture? Looks like we could almost be brothers. Or at least cousins. Ugly Bob there as well. Congrats. I think that is it for the super chats. We had that one as well. We also had a donation come through on PayPal from a good friend of the channel. I've got to think whose name it is. Oh, there's £20 come in on PayPal from Colin Hilton. Thank you very much. And there's also £10 come through from Nick Barnes also. So thank you all so much. You're lovely people, all of you. You really are. And there's another one coming on. You're trying to get my electricity bill up, I swear. There's there's gratitude for you. There is a €10 super chat from Stuart Cleary. Thank you, Stuart. It says, just joining in on the super chat rush. Get in. We do like to see the super chats come in, and YouTube likes to see them also. It's very good for the channel. I didn't think I actually set up the camera right, did I? No, it's a little bit low. Anyway, whatever. Whew. Wow. Actually getting the meat sweats now, I think. It's a good job this isn't smelly vision. I'm kidding. Fresh as a daisy. It's had a cow pat on it. So O'Reilly said at the beginning, £15 ARGB fans. And might well you say, are they going to be any good? Now, being the fact they've come from AliExpress, from a Chinese company with a strange name, and they're only £15. Well, £15.71 was the actual price that young Bobolopoulos paid. Indigestion, do apologise. There's another super chat. God damn. I'm going to run out my squirrel mouse wheel in a minute. Rick H is coming with $10. Thank you very much, Rick H, and says for co-op goodies, $10. That will get us, that's a week's worth of shopping. Because we do live cheap. That's why we can afford other things which are nice.
Like cat food.
Like cat food. We spend more on cat food than we do on ourselves. We are sad. Well, actually no, it's not we, it's Kath. I just have to do what I'm told. Moving on. Ugly Bob says, Kath, throw him against the wall, see if he sticks.
Oh, like those tumbly people we used to get. If I could lift him, I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to lift me. Oh, and there's another one, Kath. I've just seen it come in. Raleigh's in on the case now as well. £10 for tonight and £10 because did not watch last week's stream. How very dare you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, O'Reilly. Much appreciated. You guys are so generous. It is awesome. It is actually awesome. It's very humbling. When I go to my bank account expecting to see sweet FA, it's quite nice to see a little bit of what Google's left over for us. So we can buy our cheapo stuff. And Name89 says, enough super chats to fund the AM5 burning stream, which may be coming soon to a TV channel or YouTube channel near you. The ongoing saga of the AM5 system. Currently now, actually you probably can just about see it, although you can't very well because I've framed the camera very badly. Let me readjust that. So you can actually I should be able to get, let's zoom in on that so you guys can see what it is and I'll talk about it briefly. Just to get you guys up to speed. Yep, that'll do. I do love autofocus, it does work well.
Ugly Bob's going to go on AliExpress to see if he can get a long light switch stick for me.
A long light switch stick. Kath could just say, hey Google, and get him to turn it off.
Yeah, but that would annoy everyone. I don't like speaking to Google.
It would.
Google's not my friend.
So here is the AM5 system as it stands currently. So we now have, we're on the third motherboard. This is now the MSI MPG B650 Edge Wi-Fi, not gaming edge. They've dropped the gaming part of it. Actually, really nice looking board. And also, actually, let me open that so you can see it a little bit better. We've now got our new cable in there. So that was from our good friend of the channel, Dave Aitken, sent over the 12 volt high power 12 pin white cable or replacement extension. So I think that actually looks really nice now. I think that's that ties in quite nicely. So we've got a white case, we've got some white cable in there, we've got the white fans. I've now put the SWA fans in. So these are the ones with the swappable blades. So there are 3 up front, which you can't really see, but they are in there.
James
We've got
Brock's off.
3 on the top. Cheers, James. And we've got 1 in the back there as well. So we've gone from having 140s in the back and also in the front to now having 120s throughout the whole thing, and it's all nicely controlled in the Thermaltake RGB TT RGB Plus. And yeah, I think it's working really well, and I think the system it's actually starting to come together how I figured it was going to look, or at least it's kind of getting that way. Let me see if I can get the camera in a little bit closer, because you can't really see those, can you? Oh dear. There we go. Can you see underneath now? There we go. You can see the SWA fans in their glory, and there is the PCI Express cable, or the PC 12 volt high power. You can see the reflection of the fans from the other side, which I can't quite get the cable around, but anyway. You get, gonna make you feel sick now. Whoa! Earthquake!
UK
Sorry.
Miners Club. Damn, I thought it was real bricks in the background, not wallpaper. I feel robbed.
No, sadly, it is actually genuine wallpaper.
Wallpaper.
It's wallpaper over wallpaper over wallpaper.
Because we're lazy.
Is that level? Sorry, I'm going to have to change my info display on. Oh yeah, look, green lines, awesome. Commentator's Eye, that was. For those of you old enough to remember, that was from a snooker TV show many, many moons ago. Anyway, so there you go.
Get some of those glasses when we build PCs.
I should. So there we go. There is the build. It's actually starting to look more like what I was hoping for. The next part of the grand scheme of things is to replace the CPU cooler. So we've got the 360 AIO there. That's the tough liquid 360 ARGB. So I'm ideally going to ditch that. I'm tempted to go with another air cooler, but I do kind of like having the radiator up there as well. I think that does a good job, keeps it nice and cool as well. But potentially I do want to do some proper actual real liquid cooling with custom parts. So potentially that might happen, but still waiting on a few kind of planets to align for that. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, overall I think it's actually looking pretty sweet. Although it doesn't do very nice on camera. It does really need to have a black PC there to give some sort of separation. But hey, what the hell. Yes, Kath?
Rick H says, sorry about the red AM5 CPU brace. You liked it, didn't you?
Actually, yeah, because now the motherboard, you can't really see it from there. But the motherboard itself actually has some red highlights on it, or accents. So it actually does tie in quite nicely now, which was one of those weird benefits which just happened. And David Aitken. See, you say their name and they appear. It's like saying Candyman 3 times in the mirror. David Aitken's come in with a £2 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. Says evening all. And Dave, if you just missed it, rewind a little bit. And I was just going over the cable that you kindly provided, which actually is looking pretty good. Although I think I need to retrain it a bit. There is one thing about those cables. They're excellent, but they do, well, in my opinion, in my build as well, it could do with some more cable combs. So I might get some extra cable combs just to train it. Or get some hairspray on it, because hey, I've got hairspray knocking around because we all use hairspray, right?
I think that's why your hair fell out.
Lucky Man says, about time you went full liquid cooling. To be honest, I don't think I'd go with liquid cooling for the GPU as well. For what? I don't know. Maybe. I don't think it is worth doing with the 3060 Ti. The 6900 XT that I've got in the other PC for video editing, I would say that is a prime candidate because it's a big card, but the MSI Trio X cooler on it does an absolutely amazing job and keeps it super cool. So it's one of those things where kind of it would make sense to put it on there, but it's not necessary. If it was a slightly lesser model of the 6900 XT, then possibly I would do that, but yeah, we'll see.
Nick Barnes asked, give us a break, that show with Jim Davidson.
Correct.
Was it Give Us a Break?
It was Give Us a Break, no, Pot Black, or Jim Davidson's Big Break. One of those things.
Oh, Commentator's Eye.
Commentator's Eye. UK Miners Club says, hairspray for those wonderful eyebrows, lol. They used to move more than that when I was younger. The skin's got a bit slack. Like old man's balls. Sorry about that. Right, so William Bodie is with us. Ugly Bob's with us. Mark Berry is with us. Stuart Cleary, bless your heart, is with us. Says, Ugly Bob, I am 2 pints of Guinness down the hatch. I haven't had alcohol in such a long time. Whether it's a good thing or not, I don't know. There was actually a thing in the news today saying that the occasional pint is actually better for you, and overall, people who have the occasional pint are slightly more healthy. Who knows?
It was in the news, it must be true.
Yeah, if it's in the news, obviously there is, yeah, pinch of salt. David Underhill says, hurry up, it's 5 AM here and not sunny yet. Oof. 5 o'clock, Jesus. Rick H, we've said, Ugly Bob, William Bodie, Texol, how you doing, Texol? We're doing for time. We're not doing. Oh, we're a little bit over. Sky Stalker's with us. Sky, hopefully. Well, you're.
Yeah, Sky's.
I was gonna say, hopefully your surgery went better, but obviously you're in the chat. So whether you're visiting from the other side, or it went well, I'm assuming. But hello to you and to Tina. Hopefully both well and over the ordeal. I don't like hospitals. Which is good, actually, because in the UK, most of them are on strike and shut. So it's absolutely fine. Ooh, slightly political.
UK miners off.
Aletta's with us. How you doing, Aletta? And UK miners off. Miners on strike. That's a typical thing of the UK as well. Lucky Man says, brew and a poo before the stream. Get in. That's the way we roll.
I think you meant you were.
Oh, right, yeah, that's the exact way that I roll, yeah. Although I haven't got a brew. Kath has been very lax in that respect.
I've just taken medicine, I can't drink coffee.
Colin Hilton's with us. G-Zone Gamer, how you doing? Old Man Withers. Deathstroke. Evening all, sorry can't be around, stuck in a club. Oh.
You didn't tell me you were running empty.
I know. Bob's had one in the chamber earlier, but it's retreated. Lock and load was all I can say. Lock and load. There was a thing years ago. I'm not sure if it's still been around. It used to do the round on possibly Facebook or something, and it's the types of bowel movement. And there was one called the ghost poo. That one really did make me laugh. So basically the ghost poo, the premise of the ghost poo is you need to go to the toilet. You go to the toilet and you look down and there's nothing in the pan. It's a ghost poo. So it's basically gone in and it's gone round the U-bend and it's gone out of your life and out of your butt. So that is the ghost poo. There's other ones as well, and I can't remember the name of it. If someone finds me, or can someone find that on Facebook and send it to me, or send me a link somehow, because that was just some funny stuff. It's just stupid toilet humour, but I don't know why. I like that kind of thing. Stay classy, Bristol. Nick Barnes with us. I think I said that already, and thank you for the super chat, or the PayPal. James Brock said, I did like taking a break from the yard work, so I have to go back soon. Hope everyone is doing well and having a good weekend. James, if you're watching this on the replay, yep, thank you very much, mate, and don't work too hard. Dutch Jan's with us. Says, Moin from Germany, Lady Calf and Sir Mike and all the rest. How you doing, Dutch Jan? Dom M, or Domas Mark. Evening all. Hope everyone's having a good Saturday. Yeah, not bad. Andy Pritchard's with us. Good evening, everybody. Whenever I read that, good evening, everybody, I always think there was a TV show on years ago called Lost, which is a very, very bizarre TV series. But there was a rock band on there, and it was one of those things where it was just such a catchy little kind of brainworm thing. And it was, the song title was We Are Everybody.
But we thought it said something else.
We thought it was something else altogether, but there was somebody we worked with. And if you're watching, Matthew Tour, I remember this well because he hated it. And I would quite often start singing that theme tune or that little song from We Are Everybody.
Or get me to do it.
Or get Kath to do it to wind him up. So Matthew, I apologise, but not really. It was good fun. Hopefully you took it in the spirit it was meant. I enjoyed it. Kath enjoyed it.
I didn't even know I was winding him up to start with.
That's always a beautiful thing, when you're actually getting somebody to wind up somebody else and they don't know that they're winding up someone else and they do it completely on cue. It was absolutely fantastic. Enjoyed that a lot. We did have some fun when we were at the BBC. Not a lot, but we did have some.
But it's usually me and you.
Yeah, it's normally just me and Kath having fun and just taking the piss out of people. It's quite... I don't know why we don't work there anymore. Nicholas Barlow's with us. Good evening, everybody. James Brock, yes, we said. David Undertrail, bless your heart. Sky Stalker, back with the living. Black humour, I know, but it is what it is. Ricky, Terry Trickett. I love that name, Terry Trickett. That's an awesome name. Terry Trickett, that sounds like you could either be a magician or someone from the Wild West.
Or Arthur Daly's sidekick.
Or Arthur Daly's sidekick. Good one. Like that. Tony's with us. Says, hey Mike, Kath and chat, hope you're all well. Not too bad, not too bad. Actually on pretty good form today, to be fair. Although I was depressed as a mother earlier. I was very, very depressed. I've been like it all week. I think it's this weather is really starting to get to me. And also the AM5 system is really starting to chafe my ass.
And the scales are lying.
The scales are lying as well. I step on the scales in the morning and it's like, one at a time, please. It's like,
You've had to put them in the naughty corner, haven't you?
yeah, I am going to put them in the naughty corner.
So they stop lying.
If they stop misbehaving. It's good though, putting on a little bit of weight, puffs out the face, gets rid of the wrinkles. Top tip there, ladies and gents.
And cut yourself a fringe.
Yeah.
That's a poor man's big.
That's it. That is it. Oh dear. We're going off on some tangents, aren't we? Mike prepping the garden ready for the M5 fire sacrifice stream. Yes. This system is driving me insane. I don't know if anyone else is having, well, possibly they are, but I'm in a very privileged position, whereas I've got multiple systems here. I've got CAF's AM4 system, I've got my Intel 13 Gen system, I've also got the 12th Gen I built from last week, which I've been using, and I've got the AM5 system. And by a massive, massive margin, the AM5 one is the one that causes me more problems than anything else. And it's always stupid things like Windows updates being stuck, or it won't reboot, or it won't shut down. And then I make a change to the registry, then it'll reboot probably a couple of times, then there's another update or something, and it just goes back to where it was. I don't know what it is. There is definitely some incompatibility in that system, which is really, really pissing me off. Now, it seems stable. It hasn't crashed yet. We've replaced the motherboard, and I'm almost 100% sure that the problems that I was getting previously were down to USB ports. And I'm using the exact same ports. I've been using the same ports all week since we put the board in and done the review, etc. And I've been giving it a bit of a benchmarking, that kind of stuff. And it, touch wood, it seems stable, but it still won't do Windows updates properly at times, and it will often refuse to reboot. It keeps on saying, updates are in progress, please do not turn off your computer. Sometimes it'll stay there for half an hour and it will eventually do it. Other times I've left it for 2 or 3 hours and it's either crashed and rebooted to the desktop, or it just stays like it. So it's really frustrating. So I have found now, if I close MSI Center and then choose shutdown, almost all the time it will shut down properly, but it still won't restart if I choose restart. Now, shutdown doesn't clear the kernel, only restarting does. So if you shut down your PC, basically it will try and reload the previous version of the kernel, programs, etc. into memory on boot up. Whereas when you do restart, it clears or flushes the kernel, a bit like Bob earlier. And that is what it should do. It should do it in both ways. So a restart is required to refresh everything. A shutdown and restart is designed to be faster to get you up and running. And I've turned off things like fast boot and all that kind of stuff. It's just basically driving me insane. I'm going to have to do another fresh install, which I don't want to do. I nearly did it today, but I thought, F it, I'm going to go in the garden, cut some wood up, and I'll put it off till next week. But this will be at least the 12th reinstall. Yes, Kath?
David Aiken. We have to scroll right down.
David
Quite
Aiken.
new. It's not too new.
David Aiken, David Aiken, David Aiken, David Aiken.
If you need some help.
Sorry, I am... David Aiken, oh yeah. Oh, it turns out it was called You All Everybody.
No, down from there.
From the band called Drive Shaft. I can't see one after that. Oh,
What?
Mike, if you need some help with your AM5 system, please join the Discord. We've got some excellent people in there who are used to dealing with noobs and oldies.
And then just go up a little bit to a rally. It's cute.
A rally.
And do those fans come in white?
Oh, joke, my budgie broke his leg today, so I made him a little splint out of a couple of matches. His little face lit up when he tried to walk. Sorry, what was that one, Kath? What did you say? What was the last bit? You said something after that. Right?
Do those fans come in white?
Yes, they are white. We'll look at those now, actually. I've talked enough nonsense for a while.
Adam's posted the Ghost Poo in
Thank you.
Discord.
Right. I think as many of you that are going to get into the stream are with us. You can tell it's nicer weather. The numbers are down on the stream. Also, people don't care about fans anymore. I think people are losing interest in PCs in general. After this week's launch of the RTX 4070, which we will discuss in more depth later, I think that is what fueled my depression this week even more. Waiting for that to come out, knowing in my heart of hearts that it was going to be £600 or thereabouts, and then for it to come out and actually be about £600, and basically good comparatively with the rest of the product stack available, but still absolutely crap value for money in terms of what we should be getting. But it's where we are in the market. AMD, Intel, Nvidia, all doing the same thing at the moment, in my opinion. They're all doing the same thing, and that is basically they're pushing forward more and more products with faster and better specs and smaller processes, like in terms of the chip sizes, efficiency, and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, I don't think it makes any difference at all. And upgrade after upgrade after upgrade, I found in the last couple of years, they've all been basically pointless. From the moment I bought the 3900X, which is a 12-core, 24-thread processor on the AM4 platform, from that moment onwards, all my other upgrades have been basically pointless. Yes, they've been incrementally better, or they've offered a few more features, but I still think that the 3000 series or the 5000 series from AMD is basically the peak of where we have been as a computing and gaming society. Everything else after has just been basically pointless. It's upgrades for the sake of upgrades, upgrades for the shareholders, all that kind of nonsense. It's really getting depressing. I love the older stuff. I actually enjoy trying to get the best value for money out of a system for a lower price point. The new processors, the top end stuff, it genuinely disappoints me. And for those of you out there are thinking, oh, I really want this processor, I really want this graphics card, guarantee you'll get it. You'll have that initial rush, and then after you'll have the buyer's remorse, thinking I've just spent a ton of money on something which basically gives me no more enjoyment than my previous stuff.
Don't work out of time.
Anyway, that is my rant over.
Nick Farron's question, is that because of Intel LAN issues?
No, I don't actually have Intel LAN on this one. It's got the Realtek RTL 8125. Yeah, I kind of thought that would be the case, but it's not. Anyway, I've gone on for way too long. Let's look at these fans. So this is from Ugly Bob. These are from a company called Iwongo.
What was it called again?
Iwongo. The box is completely irrelevant to what is actually inside it, which actually threw me a little bit of a curveball, because these come through the post. A funny story, actually. Well, it's not funny. It's funny for me and Kath. Well, it's funny for Kath. It wasn't funny for me. The postman turned up with it, and for some reason I had my trousers down around my ankles a little bit, and I must have been like in bed and just itching my leg or something, and just had jogging bottoms on, so they're down. And then all of a sudden the doorbell goes, and it's like, oh my god, get the doorbell. And I could not get my trousers to pull up. I don't know what it was, they weren't playing ball, and I was like half asleep. I was like, oh my god, and then I could hear the doorbell going again. It's like, no! Kath's like saying, get the door, and it's like the panic sets in. It's like, I've got to get down the stairs, unlock the door, find the postman before he pisses off into oblivion with my parcel, and never to be seen again. So it was just a complete nightmare. And I got to the point where I think I just ripped all my clothes off and started again. And I put my jogging bottoms on inside out because I just couldn't focus on anything at all. So I had these tracksuit bottoms on. They got pockets on them. So literally I'm there with my elephant ears flapping away. I got no t-shirt on or nothing. So it was just like a typical white fat bloke turns up to the doorstep to get his parcel, and it's like, open the door. Postman's just left it on the floor anyway. Didn't have to sign for it, so that was awesome. And I could just see him going into next door and like, oh, cheers, buddy. And Kath come upstairs and she's like, cheers, buddy. I was like, go back to bed.
With your inside out.
It's like with my inside out jogging bottoms still on.
Did you put them on the right way round before you got back in?
Oh my god, no, I didn't. I left them on. I actually wore them for the next part of the morning inside out. I thought, hell, I'm going to rock this. It's like crisscross all over again.
Oh, you could do it backwards next time.
So yes, that was the amusing part. The rest of it is downhill from there. It genuinely is. Right, let's move this keyboard out of the way. Hopefully this is entertaining you, if nothing else. Anyway, so on the side it says 120mm from Shunda RGB fan. Silent, cool and stylish. On the side it's got a, hopefully you can just about see that if it's focusing. It shows you the control box and the Molex connector to plug it in, which hopefully is visible. Just about to see that. And on the other side it gives you specifications. And basically what is in the box is nothing whatsoever to do with what is on the side of the box. Because I looked at the side of the box and I see the control hub and the 6-pin connectors and I'm like, oh god, here we go. Ooh. Open them up. And lo and behold, they are regular fans with PWM connections and all that kind of good stuff. So you get all the usual stuff, obviously. You get screws to attach them. Always happy to see those. The box actually doesn't really fit the fans either, so that should have been also one of those telling points. I'm surprised it actually came from China and actually wasn't more damaged. So it was actually quite well packed. Fair play to them. So these are the fans. And I haven't tied these up particularly well. Actually, let's just grab one for now. So you can see they've got a very cool design to them. And actually, it's normally when you get fans come through, whether it's from a viewer or from a company, it's always kind of like, well, they're fans, they're going to have kind of 7 blades-ish, 9 blades possibly. They're going to have a little splash of RGB, they're going to have rubber grommets, etc, etc. But these actually, when I took them out, it's like, oh, lots of fan blades, that's interesting. Wonder what difference that's going to make. And also, the frame is like ridiculous. There's a little bit of flex there, but you have got to really give it some welly to actually get them to move at all. So that is very cool. And just looking at them, I think, yeah, they're kind of nice. The infinity mirror effect on the front, which actually, if I put that up close, you should be able to see Kath in the reflection of the infinity mirror, possibly. She won't be pleased with that. That will displease her immensely. So, yeah, they look pretty cool. On the back, we've got the logo of all logos, Iwongoufan.
If you go up a little bit, David Underhill tells you a bit about them.
I did see that briefly. Thank you, David Underhill. I'm not going to read out. So, we don't have Molex. We have 4-pin PWM signal, plus a pass-through cable as well, which is always very nice to see. On the RGB side of things, completely bog standard. We've got a 3-pin 5-volt header and also a pass-through. So daisy chain on both of them. We've got addressable RGB, obviously opaqueness for the blades, so nice bit of bleed through on there. You've also got little very slight indentations, or these are called, I believe they're called the Maze. The Iwongo Maze 3-pin 5-volt, I think is what they're called. It's a little bit sketchy, but there's a link actually in the video description, so if you want to check them out. They're weird because they sell them in a single pack, they sell them in a twin pack, they sell them in a 3-pack, which is what we've got here. There's a 4-pack, a 5-pack, a 6-pack, a 7-pack, and an 8-pack. So if you're thinking, there's not going to be one which fits my needs for my PC, wrong. They are all available up to an 8-pack, which is yeah, pretty insane. I don't know why they stopped at 8. You think if they're doing that many different SKUs, they'd just go the whole hog and go up to 10. Why not? Anyway, so they've got this really cool little maze design, or like a castle type design. I guess you would call that castellated, maybe. Anyway, so nice blades, infinity mirror, RGB around the outside. There's also an outside ring as well. We'll light these up in a minute so you can see what they're like. Even on the sides, every single side, there is a cutout. So the light's going to bleed out in pretty much all directions. And on the back, obviously opaque blades, so you're going to see the light through there as well. But there's also some cutouts as well with more RGB. So these are kind of everywhere lit. There isn't an angle that you could really install them on where you're not going to see RGB lighting, which is always one of those problems, which is why Thermaltake came out with the SWAT fans, because people wanted to mount them kind of face down but still see some RGB, whereas with these you kind of still can. And they haven't done a great deal in terms of the actual spines, or the I don't know what you call those things, the bits that hold the fan in place, the brackets, arms, whatever you want to call them. So they're not very thick, so they do let a lot of light through and also a lot of air through as well, which is very good. So yeah, how they managed to do these for the money, I don't know. Now Bob paid £15.71 for the 3-pack. Now possibly he had some sort of discount code or something. Bob, feel free, let them know in the chat what the deal is with that, or whether or not that was just the price. I did notice when I clicked on it the other day, I wasn't logged in or signed in, so potentially the price could have been different, and I noticed they're about £20 for the 3-pack. So slightly dearer than what they were, but potentially still available for about £15, which is, I think it's mad. Genuinely, it is mad. So we're going to fire these up and see what they're like. There's also some other things we're going to look at later. We've got the XM2 Wii edition, which has come through from Endgame Gear. This is if you've not seen what Endgame Gear do, they do some really, really good mice. If you're into kind of your more custom mice, this is the kind of one where you can buy it with pretty much most of the things in there that you'd put in a custom mouse. It's also wireless, it's extremely lightweight, doesn't have any RGB. There is an RGB version coming out soon, but this is the wireless edition. But yeah, it's got a very good sensor, Pixar PAW3370, and it's got KL Go and KL GM switches, or KL G0 switches. So got some very nice KL optical switches, which you don't often get in a mouse. So yeah, it's a very, very clicky mouse. We'll take a look at that a little bit later. Also, we've got these from Patrick LaBelle. These are some 3D printed stuff he did on his resin. Well, I guess it's a resin printer. They look very like they're resiny, but I don't quite understand what I've got to do with some of these. So if you're in the chat, please do let me know or drop me an email. And there is a NVMe and SSD holder. So you can put 3 drives in there, SSDs or NVMe. So if you're doing some maintenance, put your drives in there. It's kind of handy. And the rest of it is all pillars. So there's pillars to put underneath your motherboard, which have got little caps on them. So yeah, we're trying to take a look at those later. There are some other pillars in there which have still got the supports on, stopping getting damaged in transit. But I'm not entirely sure what I'm meant to be doing on those. So I might need some adult supervision on those. And we'll see what that's all about.
Do they have magnets, the fans?
The fans don't have magnets. No, they're not. No magnets. You'd have to use actual screws. You have to slum it. Yeah, or Gorilla Glue. So there is that. Let's get ready to roll. No. Yeah, that is what I thought it was. Let's grab a power supply and get these bad boys set up.
Oh, are you using your best one?
I'm not. This is the one that was sent to us by, I think, is it Tech Legend? I can't remember. I honestly cannot remember who sent me. There was a power supply and a box of and a bunch of cables and stuff that were sent, and I honestly can't remember who it was who sent them. I did remember at the time, but it's been a little while. So, as you can possibly imagine, having quite a sizable YouTube kind of community, you do every now and then lose a little bit of track of who's done what, who sent what, who said what you've sent to someone, all that kind of stuff. It gets confusing, especially when you've got like a brain cell and it doesn't multitask and it hasn't got hyperthreading. Let's go grab my thing. Yeah, and it's an AMD AM5. It crashes at the first sign of any work. Swines. I'm only joking. Gary's with us. How you doing, Gary? Drunk late night shopping rules.
I think Gary's got the same problem as you.
What, bold?
No, with the AM5.
Oh, Gary's having the same thing with AM5 as well. Man, that is interesting. I am so tempted just to kill it off. Give it, yeah, forget it. Oh, I need some other thing. I need a control hub and I need a actually, can I use, no, that's going to be too complicated. I have got, Ugly Bob sent a little PWM thing, actually. Where is that? I could try that, if I could find it. Where have I put it? Oh, I tried having a clear up earlier this week. And I knew it was a mistake when I started doing it, so I thought I'm never going to find anything now. What's that in there? That could be it. Is that it? No, that's the fans. What have I done with that? I had it here the other day.
$29.10 in Australia.
$29.10, so that is, yeah, that's about right then.
£15.10.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Right. What have we got here? So this is the fan controller, which I don't think I'm actually going to be able to use on this. So this is a little PCI card slot adapter. So you can plug in your PWM fans on there. You can control each one individually on a rheostat control, or like a rotary control. Actually, that could be quite handy for something else I've got planned. Yeah, so anyway, PWM controls there. You plug in a Molex into the side, and then you can fire up the fans. I'm just thinking, will I be able to do what I'm trying, or at least what I'm aiming to do? I do need to work out, I need to make up a rig, which is about 4 fans wide, that I can mount fans to, and I have all my electrical stuff in between it, so I can just plug in a power supply and it's good to go. That is something I need to work on. Anyway, let's use Old Faithful, the GameMax hub, and we'll get some RGB going on these bad boys.
I was reflected.
Who's that? Is that Holly Willabooby? Is it? Bob. What can you say? Was that Bob? I guess it was Bob.
Yeah, it was Bob.
Of course it was Bob. Right, talk amongst yourselves a minute. Ooh. Gary sent us over $10. It says from last week, frosted 3 lamb cakes for Easter whilst watching the stream. Lamb cakes. What's a lamb cake? I don't know what that is. Is that like a fish cake, but made of lamb? Like with batter and breadcrumbs and stuff. I'm not very educated on these things because being an Englisher...
And Patrick's in.
Hello Patrick! Bonjour! I will try and keep an eye on the chat more so. Patrick's got any nuggets of wisdom for me. Let's try and get this connected up. And I don't want to daisy chain him at the moment because that is going to suck. So traditional 4-pin PWM and the 3-pin addressable RGB. That's one thing I don't like about this hub is they've cut the ports a little bit too small. Let's put one on number 1.
Mark's Ventures, am I suffering from the Mandela effect or deja vu? Didn't you do fans last week?
I don't know. Did I do these ones?
Week?
I can't remember what I did last week.
Let's have a look.
No, because these only turned up on
Pants Inside Out Monday.
Pants Inside Out Monday. That's exactly when they turned up. I might have done. I think I did. Did I do the SWA fans last week? Yeah, I did the SWA fans last week.
You did the ARC last week.
Oh, the Intel Arc I did last week.
The week before it's the Cooler Master build.
I did the SWA fans in the week.
So that was 4 weeks ago we did the SWA fans.
SWA fans. SWA fans for the man who has more money than sense and likes RGB more than is kind of healthy. Right, let's get my Noctua fan controller hub thing. Whoa, Bob!
No, that's not Bob.
Oh.
That's from ages ago.
Oh, is it? I thought I'd join the army.
Can you read this a sec?
Can I read this a sec? Hang on, this sounds ominous.
Say it out loud or not. So.
Tell Mike, this is from David Aitken, tell Mike I can make the files needed to produce a metal bracket for a 4 to 5 fan wide. Should be easy. I can get it ordered for him too. Oh, bless you, David. That would be very helpful. I do need to do something like that. Something where I can attach fans quickly, have all my electrical gubbins underneath tucked away so it doesn't look like an absolute rat's nest. Because most people aren't overly keen on rat's nests.
Cats are.
Right, I think now, how does this actually work? Right, I can unplug that and plug that into... Actually, I'm going to plug it straight into there. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm actually trying to work out something in my head at the same time as actually trying to do a live stream and multitask. And like I said, my little AM5 brain can't cope. For anyone who's bought an AM5 system, please, like I said earlier, let me know. Are you struggling? Are you having problems? Do you want to set fire to it and stick it in the bin? Performance-wise, it's great. It performs like an absolute champ. But, and the very big but, is that it just seems like Windows doesn't like it. It's like, no, I refuse to play your Chinese food mind games. I am not doing it. and it don't do it. It's very upsetting. Especially considering the amount of bloody money it costs. I've had like, well, I'm not going to bore you with it, but I've had a lot of motherboards now, a lot of processors, I've had a lot of RAM, various hard drives. It sucks.
Ken Mustang says, the only problem I see with them so far is that it's a lot of blades to clean when they get dust stuck to them after a couple of years.
Right, this is working. Yeah.
That?
Sorry, what was that again?
Ken Mustang.
Ken Mustang. The only problem I see with them is, so far, is there's a lot of blades to clean. Yeah, that is true. But then for £15, kind of, they're almost in that like e-waste territory, where realistically, if they get that dirty, you probably just chuck them. Or maybe you spend the time cleaning them, I don't know.
Patrick LaBelle.
Patrick LaBelle. Haha, I see. Yes, I have got the prototypes, yes. I need to know what I'm supposed to do, cut out, because I'm not very good at that sort of stuff.
You'll be looking into them later.
I will be looking into them later, so you can tell me all about it. Let's go to, there we go, Unicorn Puke. Can you see them in all their glory?
No.
No?
Really on my phone.
Let's turn them around. So this is now on the lowest setting, which I don't think it is. They were going lower than that. Yeah, that one seems to be going at the wrong speed for some reason. Have I not plugged that in properly? Maybe it's not making a connection.
A couple of years, what if they were in my PC? Bob wants to know.
Oh, crap. Oh no, I've just damaged me thing. I've just bent the pin on the Noctua fan hub thing. I wonder why that wasn't going right. I was thinking to myself earlier that look, well, listen. They're freaking silent. Listen. That is literally right next to my mic. I can't get it any closer, really. They are so quiet at the lowest speed.
They smell like?
They smell very nice. They smell a bit like those funny cakes.
What, up close?
Yeah. Right, let's see if I can get this to work. Yes. I thought I damaged the connector on there. So that is the fans running. Kath, would you mind turning that light off a moment, please? That sounds rather posh. So there you go. They look, I think they look, I nearly said an F word. I think they look really good. And from pretty much every single angle, even side on, so if you've got them mounted on a radiator, you're still going to see a nice bit of colour coming through. If you're in a case like kind of fish tank style cases, you know, like the 011, the VXR, etc., depending where you mount them, I think you're going to see a lot of colours coming through.
William Bodie's got a question.
And on the back, nice bit of light there with those little cutouts there. I think that's awesome. William Bodie question, how many times have they sent out a BIOS update for your AM5 motherboard? There's been, I think, 6 or 7 so far, maybe less, maybe more. One of them was a beta, which has now been upgraded to a proper full release. I don't think it's BIOS, I think it's Windows. I really think there's something in Windows that isn't made right for AM5, or there's incompatibility of one of the drivers. Normally when your PC won't restart because it says updates are underway, it's generally because there's a driver somewhere which is updating or trying to access the hardware extraction layer, or HAL, shut that down, unload the driver, ready for it to be reloaded on the next reboot. And it seems that there's something in the system which is just point blank refusing to do that every now and then. And my initial gut reaction was the fact it was MSI Center.
Lucky man wanted you to do that, so can you see how strong they are?
On the lowest speed, they're not too bad. If you turn them at full blast, they're actually a little bit dangerous. But they're not that noisy. That is on full blast. It's mostly just a sound, well, there's motor noise, I think. There's no kind of horrid noises, but there's still a little bit on the old, I don't even want to do this.
If you lift them up,
you can, yeah, they're finger graters. I'm going to turn that down. But they are moving a ton of air as well. They're only supposed to be rated to about 48 CFM, I think it is, on their site. But they still move a lot of air, although the dispersal on the back is very wide. So it's kind of, ow! It's very much coming kind of outwards that way. So if you have it funneled, I think they're going to work better. I haven't tried them on a radiator yet, which I don't really think they're supposed to be radiator fans, but you can use them for that. I don't think they have the static pressure. Realistically, they're £5–6 a fan, so you can't expect too much out of them.
Patrick LaBelle?
Patrick says, has anybody tried Windows 10 with AM5? No, I haven't. I think that's probably a good idea. I might have to try that. I don't want to, but I might have to. But there you go. I think, what do you think about these in the comments? Let's see. I've not seen any of your comments yet, so let's have a quick look through. Still not explained lamb cakes.
They're a pound cake in a lamb shape.
Lucky man, stick sausage fingers in for strength test, please. That's just a hurtful thing to say. I would, but I actually did do it by mistake when I was doing the review. And I did catch one at full pelt, and it wasn't nice, I'll be honest.
Can you do that again, please? The grandsons love the noise, Roderick.
What's that?
For Roderick's
For Roderick, here you go.
grandson.
Sounds like going to the dentist. Let's turn that down before I hurt something.
How are China producing this stuff so cheap?
How are China producing this stuff so cheap? Now that is a very good question. There is, if you go to live in China, it's actually very cheap to live over there if you have a European or English or American income.
That's a lamb cake.
Oh. Ooh. I need to look closer at that. Yeah, so the cost of living in China is relatively low and you can buy quite a lot. And depending where you live in China, there's going to be areas where obviously it's not quite as urbanized, I suppose you'd call it. And it's going to be even cheaper to live there if you have the means of producing your own income. If you work and live in China, then it's not always quite as simple because the way their society differs from ours in terms of taxation and that kind of stuff. It's a very different thing. So I don't want to say the word, but I think you guys know where I'm coming from. So in terms of the cost of living over there is relatively inexpensive, but the wages aren't fantastic over there. So if you have an external income from another country and then you convert it into yen, you're probably going to have a pretty decent existence. Swings and roundabouts, I suppose. So cost of production, cost of living, they don't pay a great deal of wages. So clearly some things they don't go as much on, such as health and safety in the workplace, manufacturing techniques, labour costs, etc. It's going to be one of those things. That is basically how they do it so cheap. That is why Chinese labour was always very attractive to Western companies, because you could design something in America, US, Europe, etc., Australia. You could then send it to China for manufacturing and get your design made.
Yen is Japanese.
Sorry, not yen. What's the Chinese money?
I don't know.
Ruble? No, that's Russia. China. God, I can't think. I've gone completely brain dead. China. What do they use?
Yeah, David Underhill's put it, I think. RMB. I don't know how to say the next bit.
Anyway, you get the idea. You understand where I'm coming from. It's a different currency and different way of life. So yeah, basically, you know, it's like, you've all seen it, the Chinese kind of stuff where they have a kind of a rip-off of the design, such as copyright laws are less adhered to, let's say, in the in that area. So, but they do basically a complete rip-off of a BMW Z5, sorry, X5 and X3, which basically looks exactly the same, apart from the grille's changed and a different badge on it. So it's basically a one-for-one knockoff, pretty much. And they, yeah, they have ways of making their economy work, let's say. Skystalker says yuan. That's what I said, wasn't it?
You said yeah.
Yen.
Go up.
Might be the yuan, yeah. I don't know. Who cares? It's different money.
Patrick LaBelle.
Patrick LaBelle, I just went back to the video to catch up a bit. I can answer your question. This is not resin, but is the new Bambalab X1C printed with PLA filament. Support are easy to remove, just use an X-Acto. I was more concerned about which bits I need to actually remove.
Dark, you know.
I am doing this in dark, but it's very nice. Anyway, so there you go. There are the fans. Bob, awesome. Thank you very much. These actually are one of the things this week, although I was having a shit week and feeling very depressed and very sad for myself due to my AM5 woes and just the state of the PC industry at the moment. But these actually changed my entire outlook. And it's like, the fact that a Chinese company can make these to such a high quality and sell them for basically just over £5, and they look and work absolutely perfectly with PWM, with the signals going through the 5-volt addressable RGB thing. It's like, this is the sort of thing which makes me happy. It generally is, because it doesn't have a fancy brand. It's Iwongo, and it doesn't have a fancy price, and it's not trying to be something that it isn't. On the website they say that the fans are 48 CFM, which they probably are. It says the RPM, which is somewhere between 500 and 1600 RPM, which again, I have no doubt whatsoever that is exactly what it does. It's just a honest product, a genuine honest product which does exactly what it says on the tin. Well, not on that tin because they put it in the wrong box, but in terms of the spec on the website, if you ordered these, they're not making any claims which are not 100% true, and they're doing it for a bloody good price. And I think they look amazing. The lighting on it, like, why can't other companies do that? Some people might not like the wiggly lines on there. I get you. That is totally understandable. But this is actually, I think it looks flipping excellent. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's have a slurp of my tea before I dehydrate. Although having tea is not very good for hydration, but still.
Are they available in 140s? James wants to know. Actually, I haven't said hello to James.
I didn't see them. Which James? James Miscellaneous?
Yeah.
James, I didn't see them as 140s. I'll be honest with you. The actual company, Iwongo,
And they are 120s. Can you
do a whole bunch of fans, different types and shapes and sizes. I didn't see these specific ones at 140s. Although I would be tempted to get some if they did some 140s. I think there's, honestly, that's a great design. Very much reminiscent of the Sharkoon Shark Blades, I think it was. They had that really nice kind of oval around the outside edge, which I thought looked really good. But this adds a bit more in the middle as well. And they're very quiet. They're literally quieter than the power supply. The power supply is a lot noisier. That's made it worse.
Can you just confirm they're 120?
They are 120mm fans, for those that are wondering.
Thank you.
So, yes.
Patrick's replied a bit more.
Oh, Patrick. You remove the square parts so the shaft is free to put inside the fan's hole.
I read it as square pants.
To support them on a flat surface. You could have used and told your fans on your desk. I could have done that. Right, get the X-Acto knife out. Mike's going to chop some bits off, ladies and gents. I wonder what they were for, the squarish ones.
Put in the fan's hole.
They're to put in the fans. So how many of them is there? I'm guessing there's going to be 4. 4. 5, 6. Ah, now I see. So, the 2-pin one, or 2-pole, goes in the middle, or middle sections, and the single ones go on the end. Is that right? No, I'm probably wrong. What's going on? There's 2 single pin or pole. Did I break that then?
What about doing an AliExpress build? Rick wants to know.
The trouble is with AliExpress builds is I know there's a lot of other YouTubers that do that very same thing, where they buy a load of parts from AliExpress and chuck it together. My biggest concern with AliExpress is the fact that if something goes wrong, you're basically on your own. You might be able to get some kind of reimbursement or refund, possibly. You guys remember what happened when I had the graphics card previously? That was traumatic to the extreme. And if then I'm kind of doing these builds and recommending it in any way, shape or form, if you then go out and buy stuff and you have problems with it, you're kind of looking towards me. Most of you, actually, I would say probably most of you in the chat would be kind of completely understanding and say it's one of those things. But there's always the kind of the people that say, I bought this on your recommendation, AliExpress have screwed me over, and now I've not got 200 quid in my bank. And it's like, I don't really want to be put in that position. Like with the graphics cards, it's sort of 50, 60 pounds. It was kind of like, okay, there's going to be a lot of people that can afford to lose that sort of money. As much as you don't want to, and it sounds really a dick move to say something like that. But there's a lot of people in this world who, anything up to about £100, if something goes wrong, it's kind of one of those calculated risks. But there's also going to be, on the flip side of that, there's going to be a load of people out there that haven't got a pot to piss in, and every penny is precious. And it's those people that if they go out and buy this stuff and it goes wrong, they're going to be the ones coming to me and saying, I'm having problems with this, and what do I do? And I don't really want to have to go through that. So for things like these fans, again, £15, like Bob spent, if they were £20, £25, I think I would argue anything up to about £30 for these, and it'd be money well spent. But again, it's £30. If one of the fans, if one of the fans fails, it's kind of like, well, you've still got 2 fans that work, you've saved a load of money, so it is what it is. And that was the very same thing with the MSI fans that we did ages ago. They were £5 each on eBay, and it was kind of like a very unknown thing. The MSI don't really sell fans as a retail thing. They were doing it for £5 each, so I bought 6 of them, and I thought to myself, well, if I buy 6, if 1 or 2 of them fail, I've still only spent 20 quid on 4 fans. That was the way I looked at it, and that's, I think, the way that a lot of these kind of bargain things, you should kind of look at it more. If you are saving money, so there's obviously going to be some risks involved, warranties, etc, etc. Am I making sense? Probably not. Anyway.
Did you like Lego as a kid?
I did like Lego as a kid, very much so. Right, I think that is... Yes, I think that's it. Lucky Man says, oh my god, I'm too old for sex education.
That was reading Patrick LaBelle's instructions.
Right, yeah. When the mummy bear and the daddy bear love each other very much. Who's that? That was Ashton, wasn't it?
That was my nephew.
Yeah.
Drop the F-bomb after that line.
Yeah. Right, actually, I'm going to try this just to make sure it doesn't work and catch on fire. I'm not saying that Bob bought this from... Actually, I'm not sure. Where did you get that, Bob? The fan controller. Let us know in our comments. Now, you're probably wondering why I turned off the power supply. It's because this runs on a Molex connector. And a Molex connector was never designed to be connected whilst the power is still on. You should always turn off the power before installing or inserting a Molex connection. There you go, you learned a new thing. And I know this because I've broken way too many things. I actually thought I'd broken the SWAT fans this week because the controller for that is actually a Molex. And I didn't do what I said. And I actually plugged it in whilst the PC was on, and none of the fans worked, and I was like, oh my god. I've just killed £300 worth of fans. Not to worry though, because I've got these, I could stuck those in instead. Right. Right. I'm getting really confused here, because there's 4 knobs there, well 5 including me, and there is multiple connections. So I'm guessing they are twinned, looking at the fact there's 4 PWM connectors, 4 PWM controllers. So let's plug that in. Don't do it. You were going to do it, weren't you? Don't do it. Because if I have a heart attack live on air, it's going to be really upsetting for all involved, especially me. Right. 1, 2, 3. Is that putting through more air or more juice? And I broke the stream. I know I did. I plugged in the power supply in the Elgato and turned off again. It's got a blue LED on it, so it must be good. Now that's interesting, because previously with the Noctua controller we couldn't get it down to 0 RPM, whereas this can. So if you want these even quieter, you can get them down to basically stop to clock. That is AliExpress again, was it? It's become the AliExpress. Is that spinning? Ooh. So that's the lowest possible speed. I know that has stopped. Anyway, there you go. That works. That's actually quite cool. For some people, if you haven't got enough fan headers and you just want your fans to run at a static speed all the time, actually that would be really handy in there. Because every now and then when I'm streaming, if the PC goes on the fritz and the CPU temperature spikes up, all the fans go nuts.
Patrick's off.
So I could just use these. Cheers, Patrick. Bless you. I will try and cut those things without cutting myself to pieces, and we'll give them a blast. I'm still trying to work out why there's 2 bars and only 2 of those. Suppose they goes in the middle. I don't know. I'll work it out. I'll figure it out. Don't worry. Thank you. I'm just glad they got here in one piece.
Have you tried the Thermalright TLC12CW-S3 pack, Amazon? $14.95.
I don't even know what that is. What is that? A 3-pack of fans? I guess it is. If it's 12, it's probably 120mm CWS. I haven't, Gary, but I will take a look at them. Kath, stick it in, see if they got them in Amazon UK, and if they have, stick them in a basket and we'll have a look. If they're 15 quid for 3 pans, I might as well go for it.
Put that in.
Alexa says set the fans to 100% and forget them. I wish I could. They're a little bit noisy for leaving them at that all the time. That would drive me slightly potty. Because you've got to remember, me and Kath, we spend basically our life in this room. We occasionally get let out on good behaviour, but most of the time
on a sunny day,
it's in the area.
And we've had no sunny days.
Stuart Cleary says the sun is appearing. Emotep is pleased. Hell yes. Emotep is very good. Willie Bob says Mike's enjoying his fans today. I am. These are for 15 quid of Bob's money. They're awesome. They genuinely are. You can't go wrong. 15 quid for 3 fans of this quality is nuts. I wish they were available on Amazon, because I would promote the shit out of them to get the commission on it. But yeah, these are freaking awesome. Thank you, Bob. Genuinely, that is. I am impressed. And if Iwongo you are watching, please do reach out and get in touch with us. Mike at mikesunboxing.com. The address is down there. If you've got any other stuff, I'm really happy to see it. As long as it comes in a box which actually resembles potentially what might be inside. Because that was a little bit of a curveball. I genuinely actually, when I saw the side, it's like, oh, controller. Shit. I wouldn't say I was upset, but I was like, that's disappointing. Because controllers always tend to be rubbish, sucky, you know? Not good at all. So anyway, that is very cool. Thank you very much, Bob. And I think these are going to be pride of place when we do our next budget build. which I feel is going to be very soon. Although, trying to find a motherboard on a budget these days is literally like trying to get Peter Kay out of a Greg shop. For those of you who don't know Peter Kay, look it up. You'll understand. Right, let's stick that in there. Nice bit of package in there. I've done well.
What did you do with your magnet?
Me?
Yeah, I left it on the table.
I ain't touched it. I ain't done nothing or nothing.
Right, let me take your collar off a minute, mate.
Righty, where do we get to? Oh, thanks for that one as well, Bob. Awesome. Oh, I didn't try the other one. Shafid. What was the other one actually? Let's have a. Yes. Is that another fan? Oh no, that is the M.2 caddy. I will have to use that at some point in earnest. Who is this Ernest? Actually, I'm not going to put it back in that. Am I going to put it back in the bubble wrap? Yes, I am. Righty dokie. Mike, do a walking video of your local park game. That was good. I might do that. I might do that. We I don't know actually. Would you lot like to see some more footage in other places? Not in the bedroom or anything, because obviously. Yeah. I know you're all pretty easily pleased, but I don't think that'll please even the most easily pleased. With my inside out trousers. Where did I put? I'm sure I had a box for that just now. I'm literally losing my mind. It's not hard. Right. Actually, I should show you this as well. These are the. Let's put on the overhead. So these are like motherboard pillars or standoffs. So if you're working on your motherboard, and you can basically put these pillars under them. Although there's 7. I suppose micro ATX or mini ITX be kind of like that, isn't it? Yeah, like that.
Have you heard of the Fantex Glacier 1 AIO?
Have I heard of it? Yes, I think I have. Yes, I have heard of it. I've not used one. I don't really get a lot of Fantex stuff. We had their P400A digital a little while back, which I'll be honest with you, I wasn't that impressed with. It was fine. It did what it needed to do, but it was a little bit limited on what you could fit in it. I don't know if it was personal preference. I think at the time, I probably bought it when it was too expensive, and it just didn't really make a great deal of sense. I have the documents, just check the link, and they're $10 US each in the United States. Not that it's bad. Okay. That's, yeah, I think the UK price is about £7 each. So, it's like everything with AliExpress. Every now and then, if you just go on the site, bookmark something or put it in your basket and then go back and it'll be a different price altogether. They do that all the time.
Bob says, missed the chance to do an Easter egg hunt in the local park and find various mug merch.
That would have been... I suppose it's one way of not having cat hairs all over it.
Ollie Bob wants you to do your local co-op.
You want me to do the local co-op? That would be good. They're actually
film them instead of them filming us.
It's actually quite funny going into the co-op because we are what I would kind of refer to almost now as regulars. So there's a few people in there that actually know us or we speak to. How many times do you go shopping and actually speak to people, like actual people?
Shut up, I knew loads of people all the time.
Yeah, but you're nuts. In a reasonably bad way.
You're so horrible.
She is fucking.
And Nick Barnes wants you to do it pole dancing.
Pole dancing.
We do have a pole upstairs.
We do have a pole, fitness pole. You have to say fitness pole.
Dora is about the only one that uses it now, though.
Yeah. Right. What? I don't know why I packed this away because I use this quite often. I just packed it away. It's just I'm in boxing mode. Reboxing. Right. Let's clear that away. And right, what should we talk about next, or what? Oh, piss! Didn't put that in. I just wonder what that was then. It was Poppy eating a cardboard box.
Yeah, some vlog type bits now and again would be cool, Glenn.
Okay. I'd be honest with you, I would.
Woods, yes, I remember the walking video. Very good. Cures for claustrophobia.
The walking videos are quite nice to do, and now that the weather's getting better, it would be actually very cool to do that. To be honest with you, I would like to do that. There's a $10 super chat, 10 Aussie dollars from Michael T. Thank you very much, Michael T. It says awesome entertainment as always, Kath and Mike. Hi, mubbers. Thank you, Michael. Great name. Like it. Oh, can't get it any other. There we go. A Mub Yellow sticker frenzy. Foot Camel Riot. Skystalker says, geez, Canadians get screwed again. Those fans are 40 Canadian dollars. I suppose if you think that the exchange rate is roughly 2 to 1 for Canadian dollars against the pound, so that would make it about £20 UK, which is still £7-ish, or £6.33 per fan, including postage, isn't bad. No, 6. What am I? Sorry, I can't do mathematics currently.
You do the math.
You do the math.
Glenn says the new P12 Max is quite the fan.
The new P12s do look very interesting. I'm not sure they're quite for me, because they are just like intense airflow fans, and well, hello, RGB. Got to have my RGB. So yeah, I don't know. They do look good though. They do look impressive, and they seem to be ticking a lot of boxes for people who just want a powerful fan, and it's not overly expensive either, which is good. Ugly Bob says calf is nuttier than squirrel poo. True, very true. Riley says Mike to replace his AM5 system with an AM4. I am kind of almost at that point. I genuinely am. I don't know what to do. I honestly don't know what to do. I've tried multiple PSUs, multiple motherboards, multiple CPUs, multiple sets of RAM, multiple M.2 drives. I tried with and without a graphics card because it's got built-in graphics. I've tried it with my elephant ear showing, all sorts. Yeah, and it just doesn't. It just doesn't. It's not having it. And yeah, for some reason it tries to install Windows updates, but twice. So it'll install an update, it'll reboot possibly, but then it'll reboot and try and download the same Windows update. And I cannot for the life of me understand what is going on. Poppy, what is going on?
She's been a dog again, chewing the box.
What are you doing, Babs? You alright?
Look where she chews the box.
Look, that's what she does to boxes, like a dog. Just chews the corners out of them.
And all down that edge, look.
Bad dog.
And it's Maze's bed. It's Maze's bed, isn't it?
Sky says not quite as good a deal as UKers get. Yeah, very true. I have the document that says you should get a video of you going to a computer store if that's possible. Well, the last time I went to a computer store in Bristol, they tried to arrest me. So I can't go to that one. Although there is actually a store which I have been meaning to go to, which is called Smart Computers in Keynsham, which isn't that far from where we live. and they've actually refurbished their store recently. Dean Wood, I believe it is the owner, proprietor of said store. So yeah, I might see if I can take a look in there. Nick Barnes come in with a question. Mike, do you feel that AM5 is so much faster than AM4 you had before? My thought, I only used it for streaming, so purely you could return motherboard and get a B550. Yes, I would say the 7700X, which is what is in there, in terms of scoring, scores less than my 3900X, but I think it scores about the same as my 5800X because of extra cores, etc. In terms of gaming, I don't think there's really a great deal of difference. Not that I can notice anyway. So I could quite happily go back to the 5800X easily, or the 3900X, which both really are kind of overkill. Although streaming is one of those things which does take up a lot of cores. So sometimes more cores, slower processor might actually be better for a smoother stream. Although realistically, for what this PC does, I potentially could get rid of that PC altogether, or put my main video editing rig there and just have extension cables going over to my desk, which I have considered, just having one PC. But then when I want to do other stuff that I don't necessarily want to do on my main PC, it's quite handy to have two. It's just a bad design, this room. It was never intended to be used as a kind of makeshift studio, and it's completely wrong in so many ways, being I'm left-handed. The way the camera's set up, it should really be facing that way, but because of where the layout of the room, etc., this was basically the only corner we could shoot into. But you don't care. But yeah, back to the question, the AM5 system is, yeah, it's not ideal. It's not ideal. It's fine, like I say, it's working, it's streaming, it's doing what it needs to do. It's actually, at the moment, it's taking a 4K signal from the camera, converting it down into a 1080p, which is actually a little bit more of a load than what it would normally do, because normally I just put 1080p into the capture card. Anyway, whatever. Dutch Jan, question, that AM5 system can be the same as that with the Asus Intel board. Yeah, that was a slightly weirder thing. This is a little bit better, and actually that Asus board that we got off of Kieran, the B660 Asus Strix Gaming A, I think it was -A, with the 12400 in it, runs absolutely brilliantly. I've got no issues with it whatsoever, and actually that has been on the desk behind me most of the week, really. So yeah, that is now running very, very well, but still refuses to work with the 13500. And there is the NZXT motherboards. They've been on sale in the UK recently, the Z690s, for £99, which is actually a really appealing price. But I looked through the BIOS and it says that the 13500 does not work with it. So I mentioned this on UK Hot Deals, and somebody said, no, I've bought that board, and with the BIOS update, it now works with the 13500. So potentially there is kind of maybe a silver lining that it will eventually work with it, which I hope it will. But anyway.
And that was the CC Hell board, yeah?
That was the CC Hell board, yes. Which is running fine with the 12th gen, as it is supposed to. But it still won't work with the 13500 for some bizarre reason.
Rick H.
Rick H. Does Microsoft favour Intel and Nvidia more than AMD? Yes, definitely. 100%. I wouldn't say, well, favour is probably the wrong word. Microsoft as a company is lobbied and supported from various companies. Obviously they throw money at Microsoft and say these are the things we would like to see put into the next version of the operating system, or even the current version. Please put it in, or we may stop funding you, or helping fund you, whatever. So that's what lobby groups do. So if there's a certain feature they want, other lobbyist companies will jump in and say, yes, we agree with such and such. We think this should be integrated in the next version of Windows. And then it goes to shareholders and all that kind of stuff. And they, yeah, we might lose some money there. So yeah, maybe we should do that. And yeah, basically it's the kind of, it's almost pay to win. Now, I'm not saying that Microsoft don't work closely with AMD, because of course they do. But AMD as a company don't have as much money as Intel or Nvidia by a long, long way. Their share prices are doing better in some instances, but in terms of actual financial clout, I think there's that old story that Intel spend more on research and development than AMD earn in their entire year. So that gives you some idea of the scale of Intel. So if Intel want to push something, or they want a feature to be implemented, then it's likely to happen, because pretty much arguably 80% of the marketplace is dominated by Intel processors, in the same way as Nvidia. 80% of graphics cards on the market, at least if you go by Steam, etc., are basically Nvidia cards. So they are the two big players. AMD is basically the also-ran. Stuart Cleary says, Mike, when are you going to have a beer with us again? And there's another €10 there. I haven't had a beer in ages. I keep on looking in the co-op, and I keep on looking at the Hazy Jane, which is by...
Look at the Bud Light.
I don't look at Bud Light. Let's not go down that route. I keep on looking at the Hazy Jane and thinking, oh, the sun's shining. Oh, it'd be nice to have a Hazy Jane out on the lawn. But it's bloody expensive, so I don't. I look at it, I think lovingly about it, and then I think how much it costs, and then I think of my belly, and I think, no, I can't do it.
I'd rather eat something to be fat than drink.
Yeah. In the summer, when I'm working in the garden, if I'm chopping up some wood, I might have the occasional beer. Ugly Bob says, not even Bear Grylls would drink Bud Light. You're probably right. Rick H says, life is too short to drink cheap beer. Thing is, I don't drink at all, hardly. So if I do have a drink, it doesn't matter what it is, it's still going to taste okay, because I've got no point of reference, which is actually quite cool. David Thompson says, rip Cyrix. Yes, exactly, yes. Cyrix is... it was a real shame when Cyrix were kind of bought up by IBM, and then IBM, Cyrix basically kind of just went... They're still making like set-top box type processors and stuff, and some of their Cyrix technology has been bought out by, or bought or licensed by Intel and stuff. So they are kind of still going, but they're not like a mainstream consumer product anymore. Thank you for the super chat, Michael T. It says $5 Australian. Cat cuteness overload.
So this is Flame.
Can't you see him?
You can.
Move in a bit.
You don't want to now. The
He's
lights
scared.
have gone.
You've scared him. He's scared. That's Flame.
The other one was Maisie.
Ugly Bob says, yeah, and he drinks wee-wee. He does. But he won't drink that. I would do anything for a drink, but I won't drink that.
On then, mates. Get back on.
Dutch Jan says, I still have a Cyrix CPU. That was I think was, I don't know whether it's just the way we look back at things, but I think that was like some of the golden era, where you had the, I'm pretty sure it was socket S370, and you had the Cyrix chip, the Intel, the AMD, and was there another? Was there 3 running? I think there are 3 processor families that worked on it. And the socket S370 could take any one of the chips from any of the vendors. So it was down to, if you wanted something cheap and cheerful, grab yourself an IBM Cyrix M2 chip. If you wanted to spend a little bit of money, you could go out and get your AMD K5. Or if you wanted something a little bit better, then you could go out and get yourself an Intel socket S370 Pentium processor. Those were the days. Good times, good times. Andy Archer says, one of my cats was sprawled out in the sun going through the window today. Yeah, our cats love it. Chief Mustang says, I heard somewhere that Nvidia wants to get into the CPU game. Yeah, that was definitely a thing. Nvidia were trying to buy the ARM company to try and get into that side of the CPU game. Whether or not they will, I don't know. Possibly. Nick Barnes, who did AMD buy? Was it ATI? Yes, it was. Yes, ATI was, well, the ATI Radeon graphics company was bought by AMD, and then it became AMD Radeon shortly after. I think ATI, as a company itself, I'm pretty sure their IP or some of their chips are still in use today, or still made today by the ATI company. I could be wrong on that. Possibly that is the case. I don't think that AMD bought ATI in its entirety. I think it was just the Radeon branding and that side of the business, because they did do other things. Skystalker says, I had many Cyrix CPUs. I was super poor, worked pretty good. Yeah, they weren't bad. I used a Cyrix, or IBM Cyrix M2 processor with MMX technologies quite a few times. They were good. David Andros says, Cyrix assets and trademarks are owned by AMD. There you go. Yeah, and there's VIA chipsets as well, which are not so much of a thing now, and SIS chipsets as well. Silicon Integrated Systems. Wow. That's right. Yeah, VIA chip. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because there was one chip by VIA, wasn't there? So, yeah, Ugly Bob says the S370 could take a Pentium 2 or 3, a Cyrix, and also the VIA chip. Oh, and the AMD one, of course. The K6-2, I think it was. Or the K6 or K5. Michael T says, I remember having an AMD 486DX280 back in the day. We started off on a 386 SX33, which was a wedding present we bought for ourselves. And then we upgraded that to a 486 DX266.
Was it DX Ball that we used to love playing?
And we played DX Ball, yeah. DX Ball was ace. I love that. Skystalker says SIS chipsets were problematic. I hated them, yes. The SIS chipset was the poor man's chipset, and you had to kind of go with it. If you couldn't afford yourself a nice socket S370 Intel chip, or chipset board, then yeah, you go with the SIS chipset or a VIA chipsets. And there was kind of like a tier. So you had the bottom tier, which is basically the SIS chipset. Then you got to VIA, which was a little bit better, still a little bit flaky, in the VIA 4-in-1 driver set. And then from VIA, you then went up to the Intel chipsets. At which point, I don't think there was an AMD chipset at all, or any AMD boards.
But you had an Intel sticker you borrowed
on
every system, regardless.
Skystalker says NVIDIA chipsets were the best. Yeah, the Enforce 1, Enforce 2. Did it go to Enforce 4? They were pretty good. Shame actually NVIDIA don't do motherboards anymore. I think they sell well.
Andy Archer, do you remember the pencil hack?
Yes, the pencil hack for improving the clock speed, yes. That was, well, a few processors over the years have done that, but I think the main one was the AMD XP Barton, I think, the Barton based chips. And I think by using the pencil you could change it from 100 megahertz to 133 megahertz front side bus. I think that was what it was. Mine's a bit fuzzy on that, but I think that's what it was. Lucky Man says, God, and we moan at CPU running at just under 5 gigahertz. Well, the thing is, that is always a way that software just... This is going to sound very sarcastic to software developers, but it's kind of true. Back in the day, when you had a very low frequency processor and you only had a single core, you had to program it in such a way that it made the most of the chip. Whereas now, because you've got so many cores, so many threads, so many megahertz, a lot of programmers are kind of a little bit lazy. So rather than optimizing the code to run on lower frequency stuff, they push the boundaries of what they can actually achieve by spreading the load and using relatively inefficient code. Look at game optimizations. Some of the games which have come out recently, which have been really poor performers, AAA titles, where it's just been pretty lazy code writing. It's not been well optimized. Whereas back in the day, look at an idea of optimization of code. The Apollo 13 mission, I think it was Apollo 13, the one that went wrong. and they, was it 12 or 13? Someone let me know in the comments. But basically, they had a computer system which had to do certain things to basically save their lives and get them home again, if space is real and the Earth's not flat, etc. That's another story. But that was kind of it. So they had to try and minimize what the computer had to do, because half of it was basically bust or didn't have enough power. So that was optimizing the way that the code run, and optimizing the electrical cells in the capsule, etc., to make the most out of it. And they were really up against it, trying to work out what was the best way of doing things. But these days, modern stuff, you've got loads of resources available, so they don't have to be quite as stringent on how things run. And also, there's such a diverse amount of CPUs, GPUs, RAM, motherboards, etc. So they're spread betting. So they're making it kind of work on everything, rather than optimizing for a slightly more niche area. O'Reilly says, Mike, thank you for the nightmares. Very welcome. Rick H says, I started on a VIC-20. I was the same. My very first computer that I actually owned of my own was a Commodore VIC-20. With a whopping 4K of RAM, I think it was. But you could get a 16K RAM pack to take it up to a whopping 20K of RAM. Those were the days. O'Reilly says, correct, older motherboards had dip switches to change FSB frequencies. Yes, and a lot of people got those very wrong. The amount of times when I went, that was in the era where I just started going out doing on-site repairs. Around the time of the socket S370 kind of going into socket A and socket or slot 1 for Intel. And there were still motherboards out there in businesses where people just set the jumpers up completely wrong. So they begin, oh, my PC's really, really slow. Well, let's have a look at it. Take a look at the jumpers. There you go, give it a go now. Oh, great, it's brilliant. Yeah, no problem. Ugly Bob says, don't mention the pencil hack in front of John Wick. No, best not to. You won't like that. Trev Goods in the house says, hi Mike and Kath, hope everything is well. Yeah, not too bad. A little bit tanned. So is the tan coming out a little bit now? Getting a bit darker. Good stuff. Nick Barnes, Tandy TRS-80. Yeah, I used one of those once. Skystalker says the AMD K62 processor was back when I was really gaming. Mech Warrior 2. That was good. BBC Model B was Lucky Man's first. I used the BBC Model B at school. We had to do that for our computer science GCSEs, or computer studies, I suppose they call it. David Andrill, TRS-80 Model 1, first imported into Australia. This is my first PC. Nice. Kieran Atkinson Wood, bollocks, forgot it's Saturday. It happens. If I forget it's Saturday, all hell breaks loose.
Which he does forget most of the time to charge his mics.
Senor Morbius, lol, my first PC was Commodore 64, same as Caps, I think. Was it your first, or did you have Acorn before?
Nah, it's Acorn after to do my BBC work on. About my BBC at school thing.
I'm a Coconut says, be interested to hear any tales you'd like to tell of 90s and noughties PC gaming, Mike. To be honest with you, PC gaming in the 90s, late 90s and early noughties was
much better.
Yeah, I would argue it's better. There was a lot more, I suppose the market at the time, because at that time computers were becoming the big thing. Like Windows 95 basically changed the complete computer outlook on everything. It suddenly became socially acceptable to have a computer at home, because it was kind of being advertised by stars from Friends, such as what sort of thing, Thingy Aniston and Matthew Perry, is it? I'm not sure names. Anyway, but they were even doing like a little mini sitcom thing on Windows 95 when it came out, and other things such as the use of Start Me Up from the rock band. I'm trying to think who the rock band was now.
Drive Shaft.
Not Drive Shaft. We All, everybody. Oh, who is it? Mick Jagger. What's the band he's in?
Rolling Stones.
Rolling Stones, that's the badger. So the Rolling Stones sold the rights of that tune to be used for the launch for Windows 95. And that's actually quite an interesting story because they didn't really want to do it. So when they actually reached out to the Rolling Stones, said, look, how much can we license the music for? We want to use it. And Mick Jagger just took a stupid number from the top of his head. I think it was like £3 million, assuming they wouldn't go for it. And the next thing you know, Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer have signed on the dotted line. And it was just like one of those bizarre things, which, yeah, you could see how much money was being made by computers at that point in time. It was a very, very lucrative business, so much so that they could give the Rolling Stones $3 million to use some music for a 20-30 second commercial. Absolutely insane. So yeah, that was...
But it was more types of games,
yeah,
wasn't there?
There was a very diverse range of games because at the time it wasn't like what the perceived notion of a PC gamer is now. If you think PC gamer now, what do you imagine? You generally imagine some teenager with his headset on, in his bedroom, in the dark, shouting at the screen, cussing with his mates on Discord, and eating snack foods and drinking Mountain Dew. That is the stereotypical image of a gamer. If you ask somebody in the street, could you visualize a PC gamer? That's kind of what you're going to get. Whereas back in 1995, when computers were becoming that kind of central thing in the household, you'd have basically every member of the family using the computer to some extent. So mum and dad may be using it stereotypically to check websites, travel, that kind of stuff, encyclopedias, Encarta, that kind of stuff. Then you had maybe the typical kind of 2.2 family. So you had the parents and you had the son and daughter. So the daughter would have certain likes, so maybe things like Barbie and My Little Pony and stuff like that. And the son possibly into Action Man and war games and that kind of stuff. Very stereotypical stuff, but that was what the market was seen as. 1995 was still a really kind of borderline innocent time where demographics kind of were relatively clearly set out. So manufacturers would make games basically on anything which had not been thought of before. So whether it was some crazy game where you played or you had challenges to do with the band NSYNC. So squarely aimed at kind of like the teeny girl market, younger girls, etc. Then on the other side, you've got the boy stuff. I'm trying to think of a typical thing. Loads of things from Mattel. All those kind of companies that traditionally were making the games, like the physical games, board games, that sort of stuff, even Monopoly, stuff like that, was being made to go on a PC. So there was just a huge, huge range of things. So you had your simulation titles, you had your arcade classics, puzzle games, strategy games. There was something for everybody, and that was why the PC was, I think, really so widely welcomed at that time, because it was new, it was fresh, it was kind of exciting, and it was also a new way of playing games or interacting with certain things that we hadn't done before, which was new. It was very cool. We hadn't been able to do it before. Consoles previously were very limited in respect of what you could do. You could put a cartridge in, play the game. That was kind of it. Where you had things like the Dreamcast, which kind of tried to blur the lines between a console and a PC. That was kind of cool, but it hit at the wrong time in the market because the PC was gaining so much traction. And yeah, I had tons and tons of fun playing older games on a really crap system, really. Things like Carmageddon, when that first came out, spent absolutely days playing that. Kath and me, we took a week off holiday or something, and we'd go to the local computer shop. We'd both buy a game each. Literally, we'd spend hours playing the game whilst the other one got stoned and fell asleep, and then we'd swap over. When we'd smoked way too many drugs and passed out, I can't move the mouse anymore, it's your go.
And we just stayed in...
It just basically stayed in the computer room for about a week.
Alternating.
Yeah, just Kath was playing SimCity and I was
playing...
What was you playing?
Holiday Island.
What was I playing?
Carmageddon, I think. think.
I think it's Carmageddon or something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was like an add-on pack you bought.
Splat pack or something, yeah. So yeah, that was it. That was kind of
I can't remember us two.
some of the, yeah, it was. And then Midtown Madness, Motocross Madness, absolutely amazing. With the birth of the 3D card, the Voodoo graphics card, and TNT graphics cards, I was more of a Voodoo person myself. Always had a ATI Rage card, Rage 1, Rage 2, or Rage 128, with my Voodoo card strapped to the side. Awesome times. I will never ever forget the experience of playing Unreal. The first Unreal, when it came with, bundled with a Voodoo 2 graphics card. Was it a Voodoo 2 or Voodoo 1? Not sure. One of the two. I think it was Voodoo 2. But playing Unreal for the first time and seeing these graphics and colours and just the 3D pop, and it's like, holy shit, this is better than an arcade machine. And it was just a complete game changer. It's like, oh my god, I have an actual arcade in my house. Whereas previously you just had really poor ports of arcade games if you liked arcade games. So yeah, it was great. And then obviously the internet kicked in, then you'd go online and it just made things so much deeper. So then you'd have online games as well, or interactive games. It's, yeah, very, very exciting, very fresh, and just, yeah, it was a very positive time, because at the time you didn't really have things like computer viruses so much. It wasn't that big a deal. Malware, spyware, online banking and stuff like that was basically not thought of. So your PC was just a real piece of fun.
Remember when you'd search for something and it'd go, no matches found?
Oh yeah, yeah. You'd put in a search like Mac Goss Bros. Enter. Sorry, no entries found. I cannot, unless you type in by mistake a really long number on Google, you'll get a result of something. But back in the days when the internet first came out, like, you could search for things and this would not come up because it didn't exist. It was awesome. David Thompson says, still got Midtown Madness installed. And Ugly Bob says, monster kill. Yes, I remember that.
And Nick Barnes says, was this last week? No, it's before we had
No,
kids.
this was before we had kids, clearly. William Bodie says, question, will the ARC GPU ever be able to play older games? I think, actually, I've been playing with that this week, and there's a video coming out soon, so patrons and members will get that shortly. Patrons will get it first, members slightly after. I've done a review of the Intel ARC card and basically where it stands at the moment. I'm really impressed. That is the other thing, actually, on the flip side of it. So it's really weird this week because you've had the RTX 4070, which is kind of meh. 600 quid graphics card. Yes, it's extremely powerful, but it's still a 600 quid graphics card. And then on the flip side, you've got the Intel Arc A750 for 250 quid, which is an absolute beast for what it is. It really is. Very enjoyable. That Arc's A750 and the those fans this week have been the things which have kept me afloat, I think. Roderick says, Orchid, Righteous, Unreal, GPL, Sin, to name but a few. It was, Voodoo cards were amazing. It got to the point where Voodoo, if for those of you that can't remember that far back, the Voodoo graphics card adapter, and in terms of a 3D card, had basically 80% of the market in 3D cards. When it was within the first year and a half, it was absolutely spectacular growth they were experiencing because they were doing it as a third-party thing. So you had Creative Labs, Orchid, you had, oh god, I'm trying to think of some of the other brands now. Basically, anyone who wanted to make a graphics card could license it and build a 3DFX card. My personal favourite was the Creative Labs one. I had a Creative Labs 3D Blaster. That was amazing. Absolutely fantastic card. And of course you could put two of them in and SLI them, which was a different SLI than what it is now. And yeah, it improved performance. It was just insane that you could take a generic 2D card, add in this 3D card, and have just an amazing experience. And the drivers were generally pretty good as well. But it literally changed the way the market was. then they did what basically everyone at 3DFX said, do not do this. This is a very bad idea, because they floated on the stock exchange. They had a massive IPO, and then the shareholders jumped in and basically ruined everything. Which sounds very familiar if you've ever watched any of the Steve Jobs movies about Apple, because that is basically exactly what happened to them. The shareholders jump in, take away the creative direction, and basically just try and make money. And within probably 6 months of Voodoo buying STB, was it? Which was a really crap graphics card company anyway. Basically, it crippled them. They couldn't produce the graphics cards. They stopped licensing to other brands. So everyone's like, what else is available? Oh, NVIDIA. And NVIDIA came in and stole the crown. And the rest is, as they say, history. But yeah, 3DFX, the Voodoo brand, was amazing. And there was so much goodwill towards it. But as soon as they bought STB, thinking it'd be better to make in-house products, that was the death knell. It really was. Which is a real shame. Riley says, I remember the Voodoo 3DFX. I had 2 Creative Labs cards and SLI. Awesome. Ugly Bob says, I had a Creative Labs 256. That was the TNT 256, wasn't it? NVIDIA. And it was totes amaze balls. I nearly bought one of them, but I felt I couldn't because of my 3DFX loyalties. Skystalker says, glad to see that Intel graphics has finally found mainstream acceptance. I'm not too sure if it kind of has yet. I think it's still the also ran, but I've said it in the video, in the review, so you'll be seeing that soon anyway. But my gut feeling is that because AMD have started to drop prices for the RX 6600 and some of the other cards, it's now got to a point where the Intel Arc A750 here in the UK at £250 is still, it was a really good value option. It is better than that card, but it still needs to win the mindset. And I think they need to reduce the prices considerably and get a larger market share. Try and nibble away some of the NVIDIA customers rather than the AMD ones, because that's what's been happening. Recently, on the budget end, Intel have taken away AMD's market share rather than NVIDIA's, which is not really what you want to do. You want to see NVIDIA retain its share and Intel bite into NVIDIA and kind of try and make it a 3-horse race. Not that it ever will be for a long time, unless NVIDIA do something very stupid, which potentially they are doing, but it's taken a long time. O'Reilly says, Mike, we are the Creative Labs 3D Blaster, SLI Voodoo, 3DFX brothers. Yeah. Back in the day, I think I had pretty much everything Creative Labs. So it's Creative Labs 4-point surround speakers, which I'm still using now. Cav's got a set as well. Creative Labs 4-point surround, FPS 1000s. They are, yeah, they've lasted 25 years
More
at least.
Than that, I expect.
Well, no, because just before 2000, wasn't it, I think? Was it? No.
I was thinking of Dave's, because
Yeah,
he bought
20
them first, didn't he?
2023 now. Yeah, over 25 years I reckon those speakers have lasted, and they still work, and they're still bloody good. So yeah, the Creative Labs 4-point surround, Creative Labs Sound Blaster Live with the front breakout box,
Breakout!
ATI graphics card, which I might have swapped over to a Creative one at some point, but I don't think I did. But I definitely had the Creative Labs Voodoo 2 card. I'm not sure if I had 2 at one point. I might have done, but they were 250 quid when they came out, and that was a lot of money back in the 1980s. Riley says, correction, I think it was a ATI Rage 128. I think that's what most people had. The ATI Rage 64, Rage 128, or the Rage Fury was kind of very popular back then.
Do you want me to have a drink?
Oh yeah, go on. So I'm going to slurp my tea a minute while I drink some of your comments. What did I say?
Slurp some of my tea, but no, I couldn't.
I'm going to slurp some of my comments while I drink my tea, while I read my tea.
Something like how I slurp my comments, I think you said.
Riley's saying there, Creative Lab speakers 5.1 and 7.1 here. Bin them all now, but I upgraded from a 4.1. Yeah, that's what I got now, the 4.1 surround. Although I only use the front two and the sub. Kenny D, hey Mike, have you heard of the Jonesbow ZF120 fans? They are a budget version of the Lianli Uni fans. The 3-pack costs 20 quid and a PWM ARGB as well. No, sounds like I might have to get some of those. Take a look at. Thank you for that. I'm sure someone else mentioned that actually, but kind of periphery. The AM5 system has still been taking up a lot of my thought processing. Ken Mustang says I still have my Creative 5.1 surround, but the volume control is flaky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Try getting some electrical contact cleaner. The controls, if it's the rotary one, there's 4 screws. You can undo those 4 screws, pull the plastic cover off, give it a good blast overnight when it's turned off with electrical contact cleaner and give it a clean. It resurrected mine on numerous occasions. Rick H, waiting on my Intel Arc A770 16 gig to be delivered on Monday. In some respects, I kind of wished I'd gone with the A770 16 gig just for the longevity, but I didn't really need it. O'Reilly says I had the Creative Live sound cards with the Breakout 2.5 and 5.25 5.25 box. Let's just say that. Yeah, that was good. That was good. I like the Breakout box. It was a good idea. I think I very, very rarely ever used it, but it was one of those things that in the days of beige, boring cases, having a Creative Labs Breakout box with some control knobs, some headphone jacks, and also some RCA jacks on there, it just looked cool. It's like my PC can actually do shit, which isn't just internet stuff. Yeah, it was good. Kieran says, Kath, ask Mike to get one of those AliExpress boards. I think he'll enjoy tinkering with it. If it's anywhere as much as problematic as my AM5 stuff, then I would I would be taking it round to Aletta's house and get her to shoot it. Lucky Man says, I've still got my 5.1 surround speakers, 15 years. Logitech's. Good stuff. David Underhill says, I use 2 Google Nest Minis in stereo Bluetooth mode for my PC speakers. That's a good idea, actually. I did have it set up, so because we've got 3 Google Home Minis, and I did have them all linked up, so that when I played anything on my Bluetooth devices, all of them played, so I could have sound around the house. But I don't listen to music much. Back?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Not a lot.
Deathstroke says, my 5800X and RAM was delivered today and I'm stuck 120 miles away, so can't play. Oh, that sucks. Nothing worse than that. Although saying that, this week, last week into this week, I had that Intel graphics card and I had it before and it's just literally sat in the box. And I'm thinking I really should do something with it, but I was so despondent about my AM5 rig. It's really affected everything. It really has. I might sue AMD for my emotional distress. It really has troubled me. So frustrating. So much time and effort wasted in that. Best part of 2 weeks. Anyway. Glenn says the £219 A770 open box with a steal through the week. Yeah, that was good, wasn't it? Mike P says, my Sony soundbar is my speakers. I've really been considering, I've got 2 sets of Creative Lab speakers, Gigaworks ones, which are in one of these, I think, somewhere. The T20s and the T10s, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's right. And I wanted to put them on my desk to replace the speakers that are there for like 20 odd years. But they don't fit on my desk. So I was like, what do I do? I'm so tempted to get the Creative Labs 2.1 soundbar. because I got it for George for Christmas, and it sounds amazing. It really does. I wanted to do a review on it, but he won't let me have it to use, so I can't do that. So I might have to buy one to do the review on it. But I don't know if soundbars and subwoofers have kind of lost their appeal these days, especially when everyone's into headphones more so. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Gary G, Creative Gigworks T40s, Series 2. Very nice. Nick Barnes, question. Installing a Ryzen 5600 to replace a 3600 Sunday. Not sure whether to use the very latest BIOS or one shown for 5600. Can I use Easy Flash instead of flashback button? Yes, if the system is still running, get the BIOS, get the very latest version from the MSI website. If it is an MSI board, I think it is. Easy Flash, might be Gigabyte. Yeah, basically get the very latest version. Ideally, you want the one with AGESA 12.0.0.8. I think is the latest one. That also has the mitigation for the AMD security vulnerability. So yeah, get the latest one, put it on a USB stick and flash it from actually inside the BIOS with your 3600 in. Let it reboot, make sure that it's all good. Once you're happy that it's taken the new BIOS, you can then swap processors. Kieran says, do you still have that old Thermaltake cooler with the screen? Should stick that in the case. No, the Thermaltake Tough Ram Ultra had to go back to Thermaltake, so no, sadly not. Is that from Dave Aiken?
Yeah.
That's quite cool. What's that at the bottom?
Well, here,
Yeah.
Mike's unboxing, reviews and how not to's.
That is very similar. Yeah, that's a pretty good idea actually. I quite like that. Another couple of folds of metal underneath it to store the controllers in, but yeah, that's actually not a bad shout. Nice one, Dave. Mookie MC arrived late because I'm still at work. Sorry about that. So I missed a big opening song and dance number, but I will catch it on the VOD. Hello, everyone. Hello. How are you doing?
Can get it made in aluminium, he says.
Or aluminum? Aluminum or aluminium? Yeah, that might do the trick actually. Is that 3 fans? Yeah, 3 fans. That should be enough.
Is that 3 or 1, 2?
I can't really tell on there. Probably 3. That's quite cool. Deathstroke says, I assume that will be a good idea for me when I fit my 5800X. Yeah, if you don't have to use flashback, then don't. It's one of those things where there's so many potential things which could go wrong that just by downloading the BIOS, put it onto USB and doing it from actually inside the BIOS is so much easier, because you don't have to rely on the flash BIOS system. Literally, if you go into the Easy Flash, you go into the BIOS and it says, this is the BIOS file. Do you want to read it? Yes. If it doesn't read it, you know immediately you've got the wrong file. Whereas if you're doing a BIOS flashback, you don't always know that. Which, yeah, do it that way.
You can do it 3 or 4. Or no, 4 120s or 3 140s.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Very good. Sorry, Dave, is there any way, I'm talking to here, but you're there. Is there any way with that fold at the bottom, so where the fans go down and the fold at the back, is there any way that there can be another fold underneath or another compartment so I can hide a fan controller underneath that? I could just stick it to the bottom, I guess.
Or you're behind your logo bit there.
Yeah. If it was a little bit higher up, like from the fold, so the flat base, then a fold, then have the fold a little bit higher, so there's more metal, just so I can hide some of the stuff behind it, maybe. I don't know if that can be done. It's better that I say this and get what I actually need, rather than get something I don't and it just end up being on the shelf.
His laptop lid down.
Yeah. I was like this with Mitch when he designed our Mike's Unboxing logo. He got upset. He didn't cry, but
down.
yeah.
I think he did. He disappeared for hours.
Hello, James. Good to see you. Glenn's putting together a 2600X with a 2060 flip PC together this evening in the Montech Air 100. The Montech Air 100, I do fancy trying that, but then I'm thinking if I do get a Micro ATX case now, What do you put in it, motherboard wise? Because the motherboards are just so expensive. Anyway, that's for me to work out. James Hussein says, Aiken's in Mike's house. No, he's on the Discord. Kath sat there on our Discord talking to Dave. He's been sending pictures of a fan frame, which we quite like the look of, for testing fans, etc.
But he does come here.
Yeah, Dave has been here. He doesn't live too far away, to be honest with you. Oh. Sky says, I think Dave A lives part-time at Mike's. It's not that often, actually. It's probably once every couple of months, if that. Ugly Bob says, James, he's got his face pressed against the dining room window.
Yeah, it's probably you're talking into that camera and he's behind us.
Yeah, he's behind you. Oh, that's what I was going to look at, this mouse. Right. I know mice are one of those things where everyone's like, oh, I don't care. Whatever. Sometimes I agree. And there's not often that I like a mouse which is not got RGB. And there's wireless for that matter. I am very much a wired mouse person. But when Endgame Gear said, could we send you the XM2 wireless edition for to look at, it's like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. So this is 63 grams. So it kind of basically in the ultralight era, but it's super solid. It feels, the grip on it is amazing. It really is. I will be doing a review on this. It's one of those things, I'm an older person, so my reaction times are crap anyway. So anything I can do to actually help with that is beneficial. And this mouse wholeheartedly makes me a better player. In
your eyes?
Yeah, in my eyes. Now, in CSGO, in Fortnite, even just in video editing, it makes me a better person because its accuracy is unbelievable. It's the skates and the way it floats around on the desktop is just, it is a thing of beauty. It's bloody expensive, but it is a thing of beauty. Super chat come in from Lucky Man. Big thumbs up, Mike and Kath. Thank you very much, sir. Much appreciated. Yeah, so it's just Ghost Adder says, I'm like a member now in it for 1 month. Thank you, Ghost Adder. Bless your heart. Long may it continue, and your badge colour will change. You're a newbie in the green, or turquoise at the moment. So, anyway, if you want a mouse which is extremely accurate, but also there's something which some people don't like, and that is with mechanical switches, they don't like that kind of mushy feel. Now this has got a really nice optical switch. It's the new Kale GO or G0 switches. So they're optical switches, and there is kind of no pre-travel. It's just an instant click. That is a thing of absolute beauty. They're a little bit noisier than some, like, this is a silent mouse anyway, but you get the idea. Whereas, so there's definitely a noise there, but the side buttons are also very high quality. Normally what most mice manufacturers will do is they'll put some Kale switches or Omrons in the main two buttons, but then they'll forget about the side buttons. So this has got the G0 switches optical for the left and right mouse. For the left, well, the forward and back button, or left hand buttons, you've also got Kale GM switches. And they're just so responsive and accurate. So I often use my ring finger, because I'm left-handed. So I use the back button for reload, and I use the front button for drop weapon, or swap weapon. So for me, it just works really well, and it's so accurate, and it's not one of those mushy buttons, so it kind of, you half press it, you know you've pressed it, it's got a really distinct feel to it. And they've done the same with the mouse scroll as well. It's got a real, you can hear the plunger in there. And the indentation of the mouse is really, really precise. So if you just want to, if you use this for switching weapons or just scrolling a line at a time, it's kind of, you feel it. It's just a very defined notch, but it's not hard to press or hard to roll. So it rolls easy, but it's very defined, which is, you don't often get that. You get one which is either really soft and squidgy like this thing, so it just, you get that, or you can hear it. It's a ridiculous difference, it really is. And it doesn't have any RGB, so the battery lasts for about 2 weeks if you're using it like 8, 9, 10 hours a day. Obviously you've got to change the mode buttons on the bottom, etc. But yeah, it's just a very nice design, and it comes with a bizarre USB cable. So this is the USB cable for charging, but it's got a kink on the end. I thought it was broken, but they've done that specifically, USB Type-C of course. So when you plug this into the end, if I can just about do that with my sausage-like fingers. There we go. So they've actually done it so that because your cord is normally where you're going to drag. So they've actually done it so the cord is actually lifted up a little bit to reduce some of that drag. Now, if you're using a bungee, obviously it's not going to be so much of a problem anyway, but I think it's just very cool. They've done that. It's just angled the cable up a little bit just so it doesn't skag, and it does move around very nicely. Anyway, there's going to be a proper review on this and I'll do some tests. The skate on the bottom is excellent as well. Very, very slidey PTFE, and it's a big skate as well, so it reduces the friction. It just feels, it's just really buttery smooth. I like it. I don't like wireless mice in general, on principle, and I don't like non-RGB mice. But actually I've found myself over the week since I've had this, I keep on picking it up and plugging it in. So take from that what you will, but we'll do a review on that. If you're wondering price-wise, it's not cheap, it's 80 quid, which is a lot of money for a mouse. But having said that, if you look at similar mice, similar specs, you're going to struggle to find one much lower than that. They're all going to be about 100, 120, maybe a few more at 80, but yeah, not cheap. Yes, Kath?
Ghost Adder's built his PC and the pictures will be posted on the server.
Yay! Ghost Adder's finally got it done.
David Underhill says, don't buy Corsair M55 mouse. Is that the one we had problems with?
Did I? I'm not sure which one we had.
Sometimes doesn't initialize when booting PC. The buttons have been
replaced. Yeah.
You know my one that you took?
Yeah, the Corsair M55.
Is that the one we had it, yeah? I'm
pretty sure that's the one we had. I actually sent it back to Corsair for that very problem of it. Every now and then it just wouldn't register when you turned on the PC, which is so annoying. Like, especially for me, because my PC is a little bit too wide for my desk. So in order to actually pull my PC out from the desk, I've got to take off the door off the side because it's got like hinges and it catches the hinges. So if the mouse didn't recognise, I had to pull out the whole PC, take off the door, unplug it, plug it back in again, and it would work. So frustrating. How a company like Corsair could actually like have that happen. There is a firmware update you can do to it which is supposed to mitigate that a little bit. I never found that it did. I did do the update in IQ. If you're not using IQ, I would suggest using it, because that might rectify the problem for you. It didn't for me, and I'm not sure what I did with it in the end. I might have even sent it back. I think I got it RMA'd once, and then sent it back even after the RMA, because it was still within the warranty period. It was a shame though, because it did feel nice, and for the price at the time, it made a ton of sense, and I think I actually did recommend it for a lot of people, because it had a really nice shape to it. Anyway, endgame gear, XM2WE. If you've seen previous endgame gear mice, such as the, oh shit, there he fell, the XM1 RGB, if you're thinking it's going to be the same as that, it's not. It feels very different. It's the shape, the scroll wheel, the buttons are similar, but not, these are noisier, and the side buttons aren't quite as good. But yeah, both good mice. If you like your slightly more precision mice, then certainly worth a look. If you're comparing it with anything from Logitech, I guess it's going to be similar to some of the Hero mice, is it the 502 Hero? Sort of in that ballpark. Arguably slightly better switches and stuff. And for me personally, I find it to be very accurate, extremely accurate. On most surfaces, mouse pad, on my laminate, like this kind of IKEA desk stuff, these sort of surfaces, melamine, it works very well. Is it melamine? Melamine?
It's got a name on it.
Yeah.
So I remember when my dad built me my dressing table, my wardrobes and built-in wardrobes and dressing table, and it had a name for the plastic covering.
James Musinius, Hailstorm was bad, gonna see if my car's all dented. BRB. Jesus. I think we've had hailstones this week, haven't we? Briefly.
Yeah, we did a couple of days.
Well, Ghost Rider's got his PC built. Looking forward to seeing what that's like.
So many cables, bloody nightmare.
Oh god, yeah.
And David Underhill fixed his mouse by throwing it against the wall and putting a Logitech instead.
Ah, that'll do it.
I thought it was my spacky hands doing it, didn't I?
Yeah. It was every now and then it would just kind of just miss the beat.
Or it wouldn't work.
Oh yeah, the click buttons stopped working, didn't they? A little bit,
It was rubbish, wasn't it? And I thought it was my hands not pushing on it properly.
Yeah.
But then you had it on yours and it worked alright, so we thought it was just my PC. But then it started happening to you, didn't it? Ugly Pop. I always call them that. They were. I've almost fixed them now.
Skystalker saying, yeah, ever since that demon ARGB became a thing, we have been subjected to cable hell. I'm in a fortunate position that I've been gifted some very, very expensive fans, and these SWA fans are literally one cable. So those 3 fans for the RGB and also the power is one cable which I can disconnect, and there you go. That was it. One cable that goes to the control box. And now...
Bang!
Sometimes the magnet doesn't fit on properly, but...
Oh yeah, and it's only a magnet cable as well.
Yeah, it's a magnetic cable, so there's no screws or stuff to unplug. It's pretty cool. I'm trying to see where the other one is, actually. So it's at the top, can't really show it. But yeah, I am fortunate in that regard. So yeah, I've got 7 fans in there, 2 groups of 3, and a single at the back. So I've got 3 cables for 7 fans. That's pretty good. You got to admit, it's pretty good. Mike is showing off again. I do love it. They are really good fans. I would like to see them not have to use the thermal take software. That is something which I think is unnecessary. I understand it because there is a massive ecosystem full of tons of RGB parts which all work with the thermal take ecosystem, but I don't know. I think it's time that we took all these ecosystems apart and just combined it. Microsoft are hopefully going to be doing something RGB wise to bring all RGB formats together into one application, which would be so good. But you can guarantee there's going to be some hardware that doesn't work with it, which is a shame. James Messina says, Mike, I really like the vertical GPU in the Lianli 216. So that case supports V-mount. Which PCIe cable did you get? I got the cheapest one, which was the easy DIY one, which I think was £32, which is a lot of money for a cable, but it's cheaper than some of them. I think the thermal take wanted like 80 to 100 quid for it, and so did Lianli wanted some crazy amount, like 70 quid. It's like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah, the Easy DIY is the brand I went with on that. Skystalker says, wow, but those fans, how much were they for free? Yeah. They're not cheap, but I didn't have to pay for them. I was gifted them for doing a review. So if you want the best of the best and you want a very, very easy cable management job, then that is the way to go, but it's going to cost. William says, Kath Churchill, are you still using a IBM keyboard? No, she's using a Microsoft keyboard, the Microsoft Internet keyboard.
It's probably dirtier than my PC, to be fair.
It is filthy, that keyboard. I think if that keyboard was swabbed, I think it would be condemned. Or it would give you a good start in life.
I think it has given me a good start. I'm cold since last March.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's over a year now. I think it's helping all the time.
What time was it? Right, okay. I'll give it 8 more minutes, I think, then we'll call it a day.
Stronger. What's that? Daft Punk song.
Oh, yeah. Dirtier, grubbier, horribler, muckier.
Makes it stronger.
James says, yeah, damn, they cost a lot, but looks like you just need the cable as the case has the mounting setup ready if you choose. So good to have options. Yeah, definitely. The vertical GPU mount in the Lianli 216 is, apart from one slight thing, is perfect. But the worst thing about it is actually trying to physically screw the graphics card into the bracket. Somebody did say actually in one of the comments in the video, maybe attach the graphics card to the bracket first and then slot the bracket into the PC, which actually makes perfect sense. It doesn't make logical sense because it's not a step in the procedure of installing a graphics card that you'd normally take. But actually, yeah, it does make sense that that might be a good way of doing it. I'm going to look into that and see if that is a good idea or not. I think it probably is. Mark says, love the channel, Mike. Thank you very much. Watched your Thermaltake Series 500 review. Just built a new rig using the case in black with LCD. 3080 Ti from old rig, Ryzen 7950X, Asus ProArt X670 motherboard and Corsair RAM. Well, you haven't held back there, have you? You've gone to town there with the ProArt board as well. That's a pretty penny. And the 7950X, that's wow. I'm guessing you're going to be doing some form of content creation on that, or you've just gone balls to the wall. I'm not too sure which it is, but it sounds good. I'm glad to hear yours is okay. Have you tried doing any Windows updates, and do they work, and does your PC reboot properly? That's the question. That's the burning question. Patrick says, just went and buy my computer to get a beer. Good for you. And thanks, Mark, for the kind words. William Bodie says, the click in that keyboard is very strong.
Half of it's my nails, I think.
Oh, yeah. Yes, calf nails.
They need trimming.
Mookie MC has only been watching Season 3 of Star Trek Picard. It's actually pretty good. I'm not going to have any spoilers, but I would argue that Season 3 of Star Trek Picard has the potential to be the best Star Trek series that there has been, potentially. I think it's very good.
Well, the others were really bad.
Some of them were very ropey. For me, I think Star Trek Next Generation was probably my favourite era. Kind of worked for me. I think it's because I was about the right age when it came out, and I kind of watched it, and then I've rewatched it recently. And yeah, it's cool. It's nostalgic for me, I think, as well. So
we used to put it on.
We used to put it on to go to bed, didn't we?
Well, you did, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to be asleep within minutes because it was so boring.
Yeah, so I used to watch that, yeah, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, however long it was. And yeah, I enjoy it. And I think they've, the new series, it's a real shame to see Sir Patrick Stewart looking so old and frail. Which is weird because he isn't old and frail. Well, he is old, but he isn't frail. But he just looks it on the screen because you're so used to seeing him as that strong Captain Picard. Yeah. It's this age, I guess. But it's always sad to see when you see someone that you kind of grown up with and then you see them again in a later role and they don't look as they did because obviously they've got older, which happens to everyone. Look at someone like Bam Margera. He's aged quite a lot.
Has he?
Yeah. David Under says Star Trek Picard sucks. I really enjoy it. There's always, in the Star Trek community, same as Star Wars, there's going to be some people who are very polarised on their opinions, and I get it. Enjoy what you enjoy. I'm not going to say that it, for me, I think it's definitely up there as being some of the best. I personally like the new Star Trek films, Star Trek Beyond, telling the story of the younger Captain Kirk. I think it's been done quite well and quite faithful to the originals. Again, not everybody likes it, but I think Chris Pine does a fantastic job. And the rest of the cast, obviously, as well. It works. I think it works really well. But in terms of a series, I think The Next Generation and possibly Picard are probably my favourites. DS9 I never watched, really, and never got into.
You quite like the Barbie movies as well, didn't you?
Yeah.
Rapunzel.
William Bodie says, what brand was the MX2 Wii? That is Endgame Gear, which is, I think it's a German company, if I remember rightly. I'm not sure. It normally says product of Germany. Yeah, it's Pro Gamers Wear GmbH, that's Germany. Gauss Star 1 1059 Berlin, Germany. So yeah, it's part of the Pro Gamerswear GBM group. Endgame Gear is the company. Fat Stacks. Oh, hang on. Lucky Man. Just worked out why my new RAM is no good. Tried to match with CL18 1616 when the new is 18 22 22. Yep, that'll do it. Mixing RAM is always bad. Skystalker says TOS was the best. Sorry, people. Everyone else is wrong. TOS, for those who don't know, is the original series. Deathstroke says, I enjoyed Discovery, but was pissed Prime gave it away. Yeah, I started watching Discovery, but yeah, I stopped about 4 episodes in. It's quite good though, quite enjoyable. David Andrew says Star Trek first series is so slow. Yeah, that is something you do notice if you watch older series. Pacing is definitely changed dramatically. If you look for, is it The Search for Spock? Yeah, The Search for Spock, I think, or the one prior, the pacing was so slow, like so slow, and
just like those doors.
Yeah, it was just, yeah, it was horrendous.
Do they make?
Can't do it. I'll give up.
Don't they make a little beepy noise as well?
Red says Voyager was my favourite. Actually, yeah, Voyager I think was also very good. I did enjoy Voyager. Again, I suppose it's that kind of Next Generation Voyager kind of era. They're very kind of intertwined, I guess. Deathstroke says, I'm actually contemplating watching Stargate SG-1 again. Yeah, I was thinking that actually recently. I quite often, if I've been editing and stuff all day and researching what have you, when I'm having my dinner, I normally want to just put something on to just kind of just listen to and be moderately entertained, although I'm trying to eat my food and do other things as well. But yeah, so I quite often put on a film, whatever's on Prime, or a series or something, or catch up on Picard. But yeah, I was thinking Stargate, I never really watched much of that, so that might be interesting to see if I actually do enjoy it or not. I don't think I had much of a appeal to it when I was younger, when it came out, but maybe now, in hindsight, yeah. Ugly Bob says Stargate Universe is worth the watch. Stargate was shot in Vancouver. I've met a couple of extras from the cast. Very cool. William Bodie says, I like The Mandalorian, even when it's a little weird. I haven't watched much of it. I think I watched some of the first series. The whole Baby Yoda thing, whatever that Ugu or Guru or whatever the bloody hell it's called. I don't know, it's just too... It just reminds me way too much of Phantom Menace. It's all a bit too cartoony. I guess that was what they were trying to do, because obviously you want to sell the bejesus out of the Disney intellectual property now that they own Star Wars, so they were looking for a new go-to toy, and it seems they found it. But yeah, I think the whole kind of Mandalorian, Boba Fett and all that stuff, the man himself, has, for me, is a slightly more dark and gritty feel to it, like Boba Fett in the original well, not the original, but you know, New Hope, etc. Well, Empire Strikes Back. Adding that kind of cartoony element to it, I don't know. For me, I don't like it much.
Remember when he was little and I'd read him a story every night and he'd want to read the Lego magazine catalogue.
Yeah.
And I'd have to tell him that Yoda was Shrek because I didn't know what it was. Bless.
James Messina says, I wonder what happens if Baby Yoda eats after midnight. Good question. Mookie MC says, will Mike's next PC build be AMD or Intel, or possibly an updated Tandy TRS-80?
Got that little Tandy thing to repair it.
I have actually, yeah. Skystalker says, Star Wars is not a great fit for Disney, in my honest opinion. Yeah, I kind of think Disney is one of those things where they just want to milk it for all it's worth, and it kind of, yeah, Disney is Disney. James Missonier says, all new Star Wars stuff after Return of the Jedi just sucks so hard. Yeah, I think Return of the Jedi possibly was pretty much the pinnacle of Star Wars. But maybe that's an age thing, because of, I would have been, what, 10, I guess? Maybe, when that came out. Not sure when it came out, actually. But yeah, it was very much kind of something I grew up with, so I was a kid being able to enjoy it for what it was at its time. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
Never seen that either.
James Mussolini says, and whoever made Vader say no in the revamp of the Emperor death scene should be beaten. Oh, where he finds out about his wife. No! I like that. It's so meme-worthy. It's great. Rick H says, question, Mike, have you thought about a Mike's unboxing mouse map?
Matt, I think it is.
Matt.
You can get them
Yeah, I have. We have got one in our store, but it's not. It's just basically a black mat with the logo on. I would quite like a mouse mat with, like the Gamers Nexus one, but then there's the Gamers Nexus one, so you might as well buy that, which is a shame, really. But yeah, I kind of like it with the things on there, telling you like RGB plugs, all that kind of stuff that you don't always know off the top of your head. I think that has quite a cool look. But yeah, maybe. William Bodie says, the best TV show for me was X-Files and Magnum PI. I actually started rewatching Magnum recently. It was on.
The music was so much music in it, wasn't
Yeah, yeah. I was watching Miami Vice. I started rewatching Miami Vice, the first series. Miami Vice Series 1 is basically just an 80s pop thing with guns.
Top of the Pops.
It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. I loved it.
Not allowed to say that, are we?
Yeah, I don't think so.
I was getting confused. Yeah, so it's that one, and it was just so much music.
I got you, James. I understand what you mean. Yeah, when the Emperor is killing Luke, spoiler, and Vader steps in. I never even noticed he said that then, actually. Nick Barnes says, new Magnum is brilliant. I haven't seen there's a new one. Skystalker says, Battlestar Galactica is awesome, just a bit too much religion for my liking. More killing Cylons, please. Yeah, Battlestar Galactica used to always be on, in the UK, on a Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon on, probably in the mid-80s. And it'd be one of those things that like, oh yeah, great, Battlestar Galactica's on. But I don't know whether it was because of how it was produced or whatever, but there was always like a massive long gap in between seeing episodes or series. I'm not sure why that was, and it's just like they'd break it up. So you'd have Battlestar Galactica, then maybe you'd have the Dukes of Hazzard, or maybe Knight Rider, or the 18 or something like that. And it was always like all split up, so you never really watched any of it. Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard, yeah. Right, I think that is getting close enough to the bewitching hour for me. It is almost 11 o'clock, so yeah, I've had a long day, so I'm going to call it a day. And my throat is starting to go now. I can feel it clogging up. And also I have work to do tomorrow, which sucks. Skystalker says that was old Battlestar, 1979. Yeah, this is when Faceman from the 18 was in it as Star-Lord or Star something. I don't know. It was good fun. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap things up. Hopefully you've had a relatively enjoyable evening tonight, reminiscing, and me just talking absolute nonsense, which actually for some of you may be quite pleasing. Starbuck, thank you, that was it. Starbuck, bless you. So thank you all for taking part. Thank you all for your contributions in the chat. It's been very nice, rather than, well, it's better than me just sat here talking to myself. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed. You probably are anyway, but if you're not, subscribe. Click the chime button, and also, if you can, share the videos. Sharing is caring, so make sure you do that, and smash the like button, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, share the video. Yeah, I think that's it. I think I covered all the bases there. Thank you all for your super chats and donations. And also for the PayPal contributions, very much appreciated. I think that's going to wrap things up. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. And I probably will be darker. Thanks for watching. I probably will be. Actually, it's supposed to be quite sunny this week, so when it comes back next week, I will be, yes, I'll be getting closer towards Indian Mike, who often makes an appearance towards the summer months. Anyway, I'm talking nonsense, and there's another super chat come in. From Lucky Man, another £2, says, cheers for another great stream. Clearly watching another one. Bless your heart. Ah, delayed reaction on the super chat. Calf, hit the lights.
I'm trying, I've got maids on my lap.
Oh, Maisie. Thank you very much, Lucky Man. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you all for taking part. Have yourself a blessed weekend, and we will see you Monday morning with a new fresh video, and next Saturday for another live stream at approximately 8:15, or possibly 8 o'clock if I can get earlier to 8 o'clock, as it's getting sunnier. That's it. See you later. I'm pressing the button now. Say bye, Maisie. Absolutely useless.
She's waving.